Says we're going live. Says we're live. I'm assuming we're live. Welcome everyone. This is On Just Restart. I am joined by my friend and co-host Brandon. And as usual, tonight we're going to be talking about Nintendo. Started a little bit late tonight. The video today took longer than expected, even though I started way earlier to get it done. Like, I was like, no, it's coming out at a decent time today. And the video ended up taking me like 14 to 16 hours. So,
yeah.
And it's not even doing well. So,
well, yeah, I was talking to my coworker about that. Not for your channel, but for my channel back when I was doing it. Because sometimes you just pour all your effort into a video and it's just like, that's not the one that performs well. And sometimes the video you put no effort in, that just takes off.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say it's not doing well. It's doing average.
Harsh mistress.
Middle of the road. So, you know. And it may pick up, may not.
Andres,
yeah.
Real quick, can you check and make sure you're using your Blue Yeti and not your webcam? You're just kind of echoey.
I literally fixed this earlier, but I will. Yeah, like I spoke to someone earlier, and I had changed all this, and it's all right. I'll figure it out.
Discord is also a cruel mistress.
Yeah, one moment, guys. Oh, that's right. We were talking about Chatosaurus Rex. That's a random image, but when I put the standby screen, I had put an image of Chatosaurus Rex. So.
Okay, I'll have to go back and.
Remember when we talked about Rex and his 3 wives?
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So just there's an image of that. Okay, so I see why the audio sounds terrible for you. I think it should sound fine for everyone that's listening, but I'll ask everyone in the chat real quick.
Oh, glorious.
Yeah.
The difference is real.
Yeah. Okay, so everything looks okay. Everything should sound okay. Let me double check with you guys in the chat. Guys, okay, it doesn't sound echoey for you right now. Yeah, it shouldn't have. It's so basically how it works, or the way I'm doing it, right? So basically, Brandon and I are having a Discord call, and I'm basically capturing it with my broadcast software. But my broadcast software still receives my microphone that's set up audio-wise, and then it is capturing basically everything in the window for Discord. And the audio as well. So Brandon's hearing what Discord is telling him. You guys are hearing what my broadcast software is telling you. So it's 2 different things. But anyways,
2 different sources.
I think it should be working now. Should be fine. Should be good to go. Yeah. All right, cool. So let me check on the chat. Israelite, ASAP Rel, I know. How you doing? DE Fox, Charles Trudell, hello. Emilio Martinez, what is up? Super Chris, hello. DW for Smash, good evening. Nintendo Gaming, there will be no spoilers. Do not worry.
No spoilers. I don't even know any.
I announced that there would be no spoilers both on Twitter, on the community page earlier today. There will be no spoilers. We are not discussing spoilers. We might even get in trouble if we do, so we're not going to discuss spoilers. And when I say spoilers, I am referring to the art book for the collector's edition that has been leaked. Now, I will say this. There's no spoilers, so do not worry. I will not say any spoilers, but I will tell you.
Can I say one word spoiler? That's not actually a spoiler, it's just funny.
Okay.
Cheese.
How dare you? Cheese.
If you know, you know, and if you don't, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
That's like the only image I've actually seen from the leak. Cheese.
Yeah. Not important. I now realize what you're referring to. It not really a spoiler. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. It's just funny.
Yeah. Cheese. Anyways.
Cheese.
So let me briefly talk about this leak situation. Then I will briefly. We're not spoiling anything. I promise. I swear, no spoilers regarding this leak. But I'm going to explain the situation a little bit. So basically, there's a collector's edition for Tears of the Kingdom. and there's an art book that comes with this collector's edition, and someone
nefarious, no gooder,
somebody ruined a lot of things, and got that book and took pictures of everything and put it on the internet. Now, those are the leaks. It's a whole bunch of art for Tears of the Kingdom, and it shows some things. But this is what I want people to understand. While I'm not going to discuss the spoilers, and I actually think if you look at everything, yes, there's some details that you learn from it, but it won't ruin the experience of the game for yourself, because this art book is coming with the collector's edition. The idea is that whoever gets the collector's edition, before they even play the game, they will open up their package, they will see all these details, they may sift through the art book. The details in the art book aren't designed to tell you and show everything off in the game, so it doesn't really ruin the experience. But
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, so, you know, for those that are terrified of spoilers, I'm not saying you should spoil yourself. I'm not trying to advocate for that. But what I am saying is, if somehow someone tells you something from it, it probably won't really ruin your experience, because the details
just learned about cheese.
We're still not discussing spoilers, but the details, we're probably going to learn about them officially from Nintendo before the game comes out. So that's what I'm going to say in relation to that, and we'll be moving forward. So, that all said, still going to be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. There's honestly, we're still making discoveries from the evidence we have, the official evidence, the official stuff, and there's a lot there, so we're going to be getting into that, dissecting that a bit more. There were some details talking about Switch 2 from the court case with Microsoft and was it Activision?
Activision and Blizzard? Or
yeah,
Sony?
Yeah. That whole situation. Basically, some indications that Nintendo's online service for Switch and Redacted, the name of it was Redacted, and basically they're going to be carrying over Nintendo Switch Online to that platform. That's what's been confirmed, and it's great news, because the implication there is that, okay, so Nintendo Switch Online, as it is, Nintendo Switch Online is going to come to Switch. Now, could it Switch 2? Are there going to be some differences? Potentially. But we're going to be talking about that, sort of going over those details, what it may mean. And then we're also going to be talking about Metroid Prime Remastered, Metroid Prime 2 that is rumored, Metroid Prime 3 that is rumored, and anything else that you guys bring up in the chat, or if Brandon decides to bring up something else crazy. Oh, one more thing.
Mother 3.
Mother 3 someday. The other thing is Zelda OLED. We'll be discussing that too. That happened during this week. See, this is one of those things where having 2 streams a week is very helpful, because there's honestly a lot to talk about, and had I had a stream last week, there wouldn't be as many topics to put all into one discussion. But man, just too much has been going on.
Time.
And you know what's frustrating?
We're getting close to even more blowouts too.
What's frustrating is that, like, I tried to use Sunday yesterday to kind of get some work done beforehand, so things could come out at a reasonable time. Like, I was working on today's video a lot yesterday, like research and then a couple hours of recording. I wanted to do more, but my brother's like, "Oh, let's play tennis in the morning." Okay, I played tennis in the morning. Then my dad came to play tennis with us. He's like, "Oh, you guys want to come to church?" And I was like, "What do you got to do?" And then I was like, "Oh, I guess I'll go to church. It's only an hour and a half." Okay, come back, and my brother's like, "Oh, well, we got to go to the gym. We haven't gone to the gym forever." And I'm like, "Yeah, but okay."
You just did tennis, bro.
No, I went to the gym. Then I come back, and they're, "Oh, well, we got to eat."
That is true. You don't have
and
to
then
eat.
we're like,
and we tennis and the gym.
Yeah, definitely we need to eat after both. And my brother was like, but he had scheduled more tennis in the evening, and I was like, but I need to get work done. So, and then the leak happened.
Or these people who are active.
The leak happened after. I'm like, I get home and I'm like, all right, so I'll start getting some work done, preparing. And the leak happened. I was like, okay, well, I gotta at least put an update for this. So I put out the little quick video yesterday regarding the leaks and saying that I wouldn't really talk about it. And so yeah, I still got some work done, some legwork done for today. I woke up at 6, went to the gym, and then I was working on it early in the day, and it ended up and I still worked on it basically for like 10 hours straight, and it still came out like.
Guess when I woke up?
An hour and a half before the show. So.
No, noon. Yep. It was my day off, so I woke up at noon.
You woke up at noon. Okay, I'm glad you got to sleep in. Congratulations. I see we
have about I went
9...
to bed at 4, so it wasn't really.
Okay. Yeah, you were up late. You were up late. I see
8
we have
hours
about...
of sleep, baby.
Okay. I see we have about 90-ish people watching right now, but 13 likes, guys. If you could like the stream, that would be super helpful. Please like the stream. Sends it out, gets it out to other people. So more people come into the stream. It would be super helpful, guys. Please do so. I see here we have a super chat. Let me check that out real quick. Taker610. OLED, Series X, and PS5 all in stock at your Walmart. Stock is readily available. Readily available. Okay.
I should have checked to see, but I didn't notice PS5s or Series X's when I was in Walmart last time. When I was getting like Kirby and they didn't have it, which was really frustrating.
I don't even.
So maybe I'll have to check next time I go to Walmart, which will be soon, of course, because everybody has to go to Walmart like all the time, at least if you're me. And I am curious because you would think this late to life cycle of those consoles they'd be readily available, and definitely like the OLEDs for Switch are been readily available for me for a while. But the other consoles, like, it's crazy how late it is, and how we're just now like, oh my gosh, we can find them in stores. It's crazy.
So we're gonna get to the chat. I'm gonna let people roll a little bit more. Please like the stream; it's super helpful, guys. But let's use this as a segue into talking about one of our topics here, and that is Zelda OLED. So, as many of you have heard, there was a leak that came out a few months back. Zelda OLED for Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, it was a little divisive. We were a little divisive on whether it was legitimate or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the direct, when they came out with the collector's edition, a lot of things we've learned from the collector's edition apparently. But we saw some promotional material, some logos that were on this leak that we saw back a few months ago, suggesting that this leak is in some way legitimate. Doesn't mean it's going to come out necessarily. Doesn't mean it's the final version. It could be a prototype, just an idea. Maybe it still does come, but it ends up looking a little bit different. Like, that's all possible.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of been established. But now we've gotten some details. Apparently, there's a listing that's come out. Well, not even a listing, like internal information for GameStop that for March 10th. Now,
what?
Yeah.
Like pre-order starting?
Yeah.
Or
yeah. Now, I personally have been predicting that it would be coming out. I forgot my prediction. I thought my prediction was.
Are you saying it really releasing March 10th, or you could buy it starting March 10th? Like, you can pre-order it.
It wouldn't.
But it will come out with Tears of the Kingdom.
It wouldn't. Yeah. It would be. I think it would be announced. Maybe on the 15th. March 15th. I think that's the idea. Well, I don't know. It might even come out that soon. It's a little strange. It might even come out that soon. They may announce it like the week beforehand or something. And it'll be quick.
I mean, it's not going to come with the game.
So I'll tell you that, yeah. So both the Pokemon Splatoon OLEDs came out, I want to say 2 weeks before the game's released. I had
but that's 2
made
months.
some notes about this. Okay, so I put some details here. So, looking at this. Yeah, so I'm just looking at notes I put out last week for a video I made that were just predictions not related to the GameStop leak thing. So looking here, okay, I didn't put the titles for which I have to remember. Okay, so Pokemon came out November 18th. Splatoon 3 came out September 9th. So the date of July Yeah, so July 6th, they made the announcement for the Splatoon 3 OLED. And if I double check that, I believe that was a Wednesday. Yes, so on July 6th, they announced the Splatoon 3 OLED. And then 7 weeks later, and 2 days, it would release on a Friday, on August 26th. Let me double check my math there. Yes, that is correct. It released 7 weeks later on August 26th, and then 2 weeks later, in September 9th, the game came out. So Splatoon 3 OLED was announced 9 weeks before the release of Splatoon. The OLED was announced 9 weeks before the release, and it came out 2 weeks before the game. Now for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, also announced on a Wednesday. I want to double check that. September 7th, yes, on a Wednesday. And 8 weeks later, it came out. 2 months later, November 4th, which is a Friday. And then 2 weeks later, came out November 18th. So with that in mind, I was under the assumption, okay, so if these OLEDs are coming out 2 weeks before the release of their games, then maybe they would come out. The Zelda OLED would come out. Let's say the 2 weeks before that would be April 28th. And if you go 8 weeks before then, so I'm looking at a calendar here. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks to the Wednesday. So by the pattern we saw from Splatoon and Pokemon, it would either be announced March 1st or March 8th. And it would come out, but that's just based off pattern.
And how did they announce them? Like
just an update on Twitter. Just on a Wednesday, like a tweet, hey, this is happening, right? Now, that's just based off, how those are treated. And most of the time, I also looked at this for the Monster Hunter Switch, was an OLED, also announced on a Wednesday, by the way. And it actually came out alongside Monster Hunter Rise, but it was announced 8 weeks beforehand. So just something to point out there. Yeah. Now the whole GameStop thing, there's a listing for the 10th, so maybe it could conceivably come out on the 10th. Maybe it's announced. I mean, the thing is, that's super early for it to come out March 10th, like 2 months before
the pre-orders going live on March 10th.
Right, so maybe they have the pre-orders ready the week beforehand, and maybe it's announced on March 15th. Like, that makes sense. I'm assuming it is still announced on a Wednesday, just because all other special edition Switches have been announced on Wednesdays. So
you don't think this implies it'd be announced before March 10th?
I mean, if they already know about its existence, they would have pre-orders ready before the announcement, and then they would just start publicly taking them, right? Or would it go the other way around? I don't work at GameStop, so I
honestly have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, they also could, but to your point, maybe it's announced on the 8th. March 8th.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The 8th.
And I mean, if it happens on the 8th, it's not too far off from. It's about 2 months away from the release of Tears of the Kingdom. Like that's reasonable. And so pre-orders could go up then for it, but I would expect it to come out either day and date or like 2 weeks beforehand, one or the other. So I would say it comes out either April 28th or May 12th with the system, just because of how short of a window we're talking here. Like, we were so close to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, Nintendo's been so quiet about this game.
We know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been quiet. Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean,
we'll know stuff soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the interesting thing, right? So the implication here is that maybe we get news about the Zelda OLED in March, and I'm sort of speculating that we get a Tears of the Kingdom Direct early April. Maybe sooner, but just based off how they handled the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon 3, where they had game dedicated directs 4 to 5 weeks before their releases, I'd say it'd be around then. Now, the tricky part is that the Mario movie comes out early April. So do they want to wait till after, or do you want to do it before? Do you want to do it the week of? Like that's kind of.
They would do it before instead of doing it like really, really close. But with how quiet they've been, it seems like they want us to just kind of like figure it out on our own when we play the game almost.
There's just.
I think there is going to be a big direct where they're going to show us stuff, but I feel like they're also kind of like setting it up to where it's like you can watch the direct and learn things.
I got an announcement.
You can just play the game.
All right, you guys ready for the announcement? I see about 100 people are watching. That's amazing, guys. Thank you for being here. If you could like the stream, that makes things super helpful. Please like the stream. If you're new here, you could subscribe. Why not? Or not. I don't care. But anyways, here's the announcement. I'm probably going to PAX.
Ooh.
As press, I think.
Press even.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the reason I'm probably going to PAX is because then we have gotten confirmation Nintendo will have a presence at PAX, and there's a good chance Tears of the Kingdom will be there. And I bring this up for a few reasons. One, I'm excited to go to PAX and meet potentially a whole bunch of cool other YouTuber friends. I've heard already a few different people, friends of mine, they're going to be there. Nate from Nintendo Prime, Mike Odyssey, HMK, Monster Maze, Dawn. Like, a lot of people are apparently going to be there, so it's going to be cool to meet them.
All the boys.
And we're all hardcore Zelda fans, and we may have an opportunity to play Tears of the Kingdom early at PAX. Maybe. We'll see. I'm saying that this is the plan. I don't know for sure yet, but I'm putting it out there. But the reason I even bring this up now is because if PAX is happening at the end of March, and if there's going to be a playable Tears of the Kingdom there, which would be the time to do it, you would think there'd be an influx of there. Exactly. So maybe a Tears of the Kingdom Direct happens mid to late March.
Oh, I'm hoping. Fingers freaking crossed.
Yeah.
All bodies of pretzel now.
Yeah. And you can rest assured, I will be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. You bet. If I get to go to PAX and if I play the game, you're going to see a video. I played Tears of the Kingdom early. Oh my god. And I will talk about it. I will tell you guys all the nuance. While everyone's like, hey, it looks cool, I'm going to be like, yeah. But did you know you could tilt Link 3 degrees to the left and he blinks and farts? Yeah. And it plays better. Yeah, I'll be like, oh, it looks smooth too, with good draw distance. Alright, so I got some things going on here with the chat, and now it won't tell me. I can't see. I saw several things happened. And okay, alright, cool. So I still have a history of it in the chat. Alright. So one, Samuel A has been a member for a month of Legends Plus. Thank you, Samuel A. By the way, if you are a member, you're eligible to be, credits, you can have featured topics, you can take part in call-in segments. But Samuel A says this: honestly, my hype for Tears of the Kingdom is more for any other Zelda game ever made, and I think it'll be the best. Thoughts on NSO leak today for next gen? We will get to that, Samuel. It is part of the planned topics.
I haven't even seen that.
We will get to it.
To catch me up.
Yeah, we will get to it. I mentioned earlier on, basically the implication is that NSO will be carrying over to the next Nintendo Switch, and it was interesting because in the documentation it said Nintendo Switch and redacted. Redacted is covering what the next system was, and that's exciting. So anyway, thank you, Samuel A. We will be getting to that soon. Bosch Tron Pie with the super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, Bosch Tron Pie. It's super appreciated. Bosch Tron Pie says, in terms of the next console, I know what y'all about to say, but hear me out. Nintendo Switch U. Okay, I will walk myself this stream. No, you can stay. It's okay.
Get the heck no.
Switch U. No, switch them.
Switch U.
Yeah.
Switch U all.
Yeah.
Switch U too.
No, Switch U, please.
Oh god.
Please no. I see here Nate Esqueca has now been a member for 13 months for Legends Plus. Thank you, Nate Esqueca. Super appreciated. Nate says, 15K coming, 100. Keep grinding and good night. Thank you, Nate. I will keep grinding. Keep grinding. I'll continue making them Zelda and Metroid and other videos as long as I can. I enjoy doing it. Alright. So, yeah, let me catch up with the regular chat here. And then, we'll move on. Unless, Brian, there's something else you want to say in relation to this OLED release date. No?
Nope.
All right. I mean, I think we kind of covered it. So.
Yep. We good.
Yeah. Hello there, peoples. Charles should
Hola,
yes.
¿cómo estás?
Yeah, we're all trapped in cheese. That is correct. Cheese of the kingdom. I see people were humored by your words earlier, Brandon. Joycey J.
Of course.
Must not be pentacles to we in church for 4 hours. 4 hours. I have seen and heard the 4-hour sermons. I've been a part of that. I personally am not a fan of 4 hours, but you know, sometimes the streams last for 4 hours. So
I'll be in for 4 hours total sometimes when I used to go. You know, you got like the early bird message, then you got like the mid message, you got the late message, lunch. We had like potluck. You know, you're there for like 4 hours. Then you gotta like talk for like about nothing for like another 2 hours until you eventually leave. You're still talking, but you're like leaving out the doors. You're closing it. Your head just peeking out as you're only your lips showing as you finish your sentence and then leave because they won't shut up.
I don't know why, but I'm hungry right now. I'm hungry. I think you mentioned potluck. You mentioned potluck, and that's what made me hungry. Hey, Nintendo Prime in the chat. Yep, we going to PAX, probably. Pythons. I really think the collector's edition is anemic. Anyone else feel the same? You know, I'm actually gonna... I didn't
get it. Mostly because I couldn't.
I couldn't pre-order it.
Out
but I'll tell you that the collector's edition for Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have me nearly as excited as I was for Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's Master Edition. Like it was definitely different. Like not having the statue, not having like a cool Switch case. Like I think the things with those.
Got the steelbook.
What? Yeah, I mean, okay. So
steelbooks are dope.
The Switch case has application.
My only issue is that $120 because usually their special editions are only like $100.
I don't remember how much it costs. I just
I'm pretty sure the Xenoblade ones that I bought and the Breath of the Wild one was only $100. I could be wrong, but it seems like a little expensive. But everything's a little expensive these days. I mean, the game itself is $70. So.
Yeah, that is true. Inflation. Yeah, but I mean, anyways, I will actually agree that while I'm not trying to say that if you got the collector's edition, you wasted your money. You know, if I saw it, I would have gotten it. But I'll
tell you this,
say that it's not as exciting as
wish
the
I had gotten it.
You wish you had gotten it. Yeah, yes. I do wish I had the steelbook. I had
the money and
yeah.
I wish I had the money at the time when the pre-order went live.
Yeah.
But unless you are like hit your bank account, waiting, sitting there like a vulture, just 3 different tabs open the same thing, click and buy, you're just not gonna get it.
Yeah. Also, most of us have seen the images in the art book already, so that's kind of lost its value.
I've seen the cheese.
I will say that creating I hope there's like a creating a champion book, because creating a champion,
that one's easy to buy.
Yeah, that one's
on Amazon.
Creating a champion's like maybe one of the best Zelda books. There's so much details about Breath of the Wild in there. Like, you need to make if I ever like need like material to make a Zelda video, look through creating a champion. There's so much there. I rarely do because I don't. There's so much going on. But I'm just saying, like, if there's ever like just a dried up well of information, creating a champion's a brand fresh new of information. It's just like, okay, that's a video. Like, there's so much
extra
material
like Zelda content.
Yeah,
just go like start reading that.
You could make a video for every page of that book, easy. It's just crazy. Yeah, but anyways, I love creating a champion. It's amazing. Anyways. Something's not right here. Oh, okay.
Quiet. Too quiet.
No, I had the background music, but it wasn't looping. Okay. Fixed it.
Watch out, Fox, the track! Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No.
Alright, so... Boss Trump Pie. Next gen reveal likely October 2023 to match the anniversary of the Switch reveal. I don't know about that. And...
Say that one more time.
Next gen reveal likely October 2023 to match anniversary of the Switch reveal. I don't know about that just because we don't. Well, one, I'll give you this. We don't know about anything beyond July, so the second half of 2023 is a huge question mark.
Big mystery.
But I have to think Nintendo's gonna release some games. The Switch is not an era where Nintendo is suffering sales-wise. They're performing really well. It's not like back in the Wii U where there was nothing to sell for the holiday, so it was okay it was okay for them to announce the Switch back in October then. If they were to announce a Switch 2 in October, they would be announcing that right before the holidays, where people were like, oh, well, if the next system's coming out in a few months,
Right,
I will wait and not buy anything for the holiday.
You know, the way that they could counter that is a sale. They've never, ever put the Switch on sale. And if they advertise the Switch 2 as, like, a smooth transition where you can still, your normal Switch is still viable, they can sell both at the same time.
I think you're right. So, I think if they were to announce the Switch 2 this year, it would suggest it would come out early next year, like March. And they would need to do a price drop. They would need to do a price drop, and I think it would also mean backwards compatibility. So any games that do come out during this holiday, you're not losing out on anything by buying games in a holiday. Like, and the thing is, the problem is that they want to be really careful about the marketing, the messaging about that, because maybe some people won't understand that and be like, well, we might as well wait. Some people may feel that way. So there are some things there. But if they're like, hey, look, you can buy, you know, let's say, like, you can buy your F-Zeros, your Metroid Primes now, and on the new system, it's going to look and run better in a few months.
You know, I have a weird... It's not that strange, but I have thought, how many people do you think buy, like, a Switch normal, say, and at Black Friday, and then, say, like, a Switch 2 came out halfway through the year? How many people would be like, oh, man, I should have bought that, and then actually go out and buy a Switch 2 day one? Like, I feel like a lot of people can't afford that. They'll just buy the regular Switch and be like, man, I just screwed myself. I guess I'm playing the normal Switch now for a while.
A lot of people will be upset.
So maybe there is something to saying it a little bit earlier, instead of just dropping a bombshell like, in 6 months, that thing you just bought is freaking useless.
You know, I think
even though it's not really.
You raise an interesting point. You know, I mean, I didn't really think of it like that. Like, I guess, like, I just don't care about people. But, but like, do not quote me on that. It's a joke. But
we need a meme of that on Twitter, please.
No. But, like, I guess the point is, though, is that what you're saying is very pro-consumer, because it's making the messaging super clear, and it's putting on people to make a decision if they want to buy a Switch for the holiday or not. Now, it would impact Switch sales, but to your point, if Nintendo does a great job of making the Switch feel so valuable, even when they know a newer, better system's coming out down the road, then go for it. If they think that between the games and the content that's already there and whatever online deals they have going on and a price drop, if that's going to carry them through the holiday, even when people publicly, officially know that a new system's coming right around the corner, go for it. And let me tell you, look, you know, I do want to catch up with the chat, but I think this is a good time to talk about the NSO thing. And I talked about it already. Basically, we're seeing evidence that, like, not rumor, like actual evidence from a court case that Nintendo Switch Online is carrying over to their next system. So that's the info. Now, if this happens, right, so let's say all of your eShop purchases, all of those not virtual console, but, you know, all the Nintendo Switch Online games, the retro games, like, all that's available, every game you've downloaded is available, and the Switch 2 is purely backwards compatible, so you can take all of your cartridges for Switch and put it in there. If that's all true, if some major games have an update where they look and run better on the new Switch, like, say, Breath of the Wild, Metroid Prime, things like that, and they price drop the Switch and they have good games to come throughout, and they make all that messaging clear while also announcing a new Switch for, say, like March next year, it might work. They might be able to do that.
Work.
Yeah. So we're kind of.
They could pull it off.
So you know what's interesting? You know, when I saw Boss Trompai's comment, I was like, I disagree. But I think maybe. I'm not committed to it being announced this year, because I do think it depends on when it's coming out. Like the other thing to consider here is that if they're so close that it's going to come out in March, why aren't they just coming out for the holidays? Like, is that 4-month difference really worth waiting? That, like, are they that, you know, is it just conveniently going to be that off? Are they just not going to have demand supply ready by then, and they will be ready by March?
Right. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to release in March if they announce in October. It just seems more likely.
But why would they wait 9 months?
We thought Tears of the Kingdom was going to come out in March, and guess what? It didn't.
No.
They announced that in September.
They announced but for a game that we've known about for years. I don't know.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, we all thought it would make sense for March, and it did not.
I get your point. The point is that we assume something major happens to end the fiscal year. I get that. Yeah, but, I mean, it's also hardware, right? So, and, I just think that if it's not coming out much, to your point, what if it does come out, say, May or June next year? By the way, the Nikkei report that suggests that it's coming out midway through next year. So if it's coming out midway through next year, at that point, I don't think you announce it this year, right? Even if all those other things are true, like all, you know, the backwards compatibility, the upscaling, the price drop, even if that's all true, because, you know, they can do all that, sell as many Switches as they can, and then they can wait 3 months, and make the official announcement in March, and it comes out in June. I think 3 months after the holidays is enough time to where Nintendo shouldn't feel responsible for burning their fan base for buying Switches during the holidays. You know, so that's my take on it, right? But then I'm someone that's like very much on top of what Nintendo is doing, right? The casual fan who doesn't pay attention to news all the time is skimming through articles and looking at leaks and all that. Like, they might be like, oh, damn you. But I mean, if they drop the price of the Switch, you know, I mean, also, the system's been out for a lot longer than most systems, so the Switch has more value than pretty much any prior Nintendo system.
I don't think that they would drop the price without announcing the next console. So I don't think they'll need to. I think they'll just be like, oh, well, people don't know it's coming out. They're just going to keep it the same price. If they announce it next year, I don't think they'll announce the price drop until they actually announce the system.
I think it does depend on demand. But yeah, I understand.
Well, they're not. Well, we haven't seen what they're forecasting for this year, actually.
Yeah, then that's going to be pivotal, how the forecasts look. But I see the Legend of Mario. You just watched my theory video on the Tears of the Kingdom dungeon system. Thank you for watching. Guys, after the stream, please watch that video. I've noticed that it's not performing well, but I put like 14 to 16 hours of work into that video. So please check it out after the stream. Like it. It'd be super appreciated. It's just, I don't know why. The algorithm. Whatever. But anyways, watch it like explode, and then I'll you know, like, that could happen. It happens sometimes. But
nice.
It also could go in the opposite direction where it'll just halt. And that's it.
Just implodes.
Yeah.
The views start going backwards. You start losing views.
That happens. Anyway, to kind of just continue on talking about this situation, like, I really like the idea that it'll just be a seamless transition for Nintendo Switch Online, where the games will be backwards compatible. Anything you've purchased on the eShop will carry over. All the games with Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, N64, Super Nintendo, NES, Sega Genesis, that's all still available on the next system.
Right.
I think that would be the best way to go about it. Obviously, that would be ideal. The question is, will Nintendo actually do that?
I think it's pretty necessary.
Okay.
I think they want to make sure that people actually want to buy this system, right? I think Nintendo, if they've learned anything from like the Wii U, I would hope that they would realize that people don't really want to just jump into a new ecosystem every single time. I mean, there's a lot of other issues with the Wii U, though.
Yeah,
So,
I think.
but I think one of the big ones, and with Nintendo in general, people always criticize the fact that you have to restart like your whole library and the entire experience like every single time. Whereas on the other consoles, it's not, you don't do that. You just carry your account over. Like it's always been that way. Not for PlayStation, for Xbox at least, and PlayStation for the most of their consoles too. So it's like Nintendo's really behind the times, and
yeah, but there's something that
for
those systems though, right? They've had paid online services for years already. Nintendo has not.
Yeah.
Now Nintendo has a paid online service. Now that people have actually are giving Nintendo money, they're subscribed to Nintendo. Now Nintendo actually has a reason to keep them subscribed. They don't want to lose subscribers. They don't want to work hard to get, have a new marketing campaign to get people to subscribe again to a new service on the next system. It makes more sense for them to do whatever they can to carry over that exact same subscription system because they already have guaranteed money from people.
But just from a consumer's point of view, like you want to go to a new console and like you want that transition to be as smooth as possible. Like when you get a new iPhone, they make it easier and easier every single generation to move everything to the new one, and that's like helps people to get new phones every single year. It's so much easier if you just know that when you get your Switch, you can pop in all your old games. Your save data is going to be there from the cloud. You can transfer everything else manually. Like your games are going to work. Your account's going to be there. Your purchases are going to be there you can download on the online. Your online account's going to be there with all your save data for all your SNES and other console games. You want to make sure everything's going to be there. You're not going to have to start everything over, have this huge annoying process, or just be told that you simply can't play your old games on your new console. For what reason at this point? Like, it's not like before we were moving from discs to cartridges. Makes sense. Like, why? Like, if they're using the same Switch model, why wouldn't you just be able to use your Switch games?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from. So something I want to bring up that's kind of interesting in relation to this is that we were surprised when they announced Game Boy and Game Boy Advance coming to Switch Online so quickly, right? Like we thought it would happen in September because that's when Nintendo has their subscription updates. And I think the reason why, it's a sign that we are coming to the end of the Switch generation. They got that out sooner than later because the value in having that out just maybe like less than half a year out from before the system comes out or something, or like less than a year out if they were to announce it in September, less value there, right? So they want to get it out sooner. Now you can look at it from two ways. You'd be like, okay, so they're getting it out sooner so people can enjoy the service, so it's relevant, and because they cared so much about getting it out sooner, that could imply that there won't necessarily be a straight up seamless transition of all this content over to the next system. You could interpret it that way. I would like to interpret it as it still will all transition over, but they made sure to get that kind of content out there already, and perhaps the next system will have certain updates, like they may do something a little different. I mean, they're gonna want to come up with strategies that will compel people to move on, right? Because not everyone's gonna want to move on to the next system if it's just more powerful. There's gonna have to be other elements. What if it has GameCube Virtual Console, for example? That might get people to do it. That's a possibility. Now, I don't want to get on that train. I'm just simply spitballing some potential ideas out there. Regardless, though, I mainly just want to point out that we got Game Boy Advance early, and I think it is a sign pointing to a new system soon. Not this year, but next year. So moving on here, let me check in with the chat. Let's just see. I'm gonna focus on ads for now so we can catch up. Super Luigi Kong, do you think we could possibly also get a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom themed Pro Controller? Possibly. Very possible.
When's the last time they even did one of those?
They did one for Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah.
Okay, could happen.
Could happen, right? Could happen. So, my thing about the OLED, like, an OLED is cool. Very cool. But that means buying a new system. Maybe you don't want to buy a new system. Maybe you're happy.
I kind of need a new system. I'll buy it.
Like,
I want an OLED anyways.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Here's part of the other problem is that I mostly play my Switch in docked mode. Like,
yeah, but when you want to play it in handheld,
maybe like,
because I do as well.
90-10.
Maybe you'll play in handheld mode more if it looks better than on your TV. Minus the resolution.
Yeah, I mean it would help, but I would it though?
I mean, it's just a straight up better display.
I don't really like playing with the Joy-Cons either. So I prefer playing with a Pro Controller. Now obviously there's tabletop mode, but it ain't the same. It would be nice to have a Pro Controller themed after Tears of the Kingdom. I'd very much be into that. So I do think it's possible. We don't really have evidence for it, so it's kind of like a shot in the dark. I will say that some core-centric Nintendo games have gotten Pro Controllers editions. One is Monster Hunter Rise, another is Smash Ultimate, another is Xenoblade 2. Now, Smash Ultimate came out back in 2018. Xenoblade 2 came out back in 2017. Those were very early on the system's life cycle.
Splatoon also got one.
Which one?
2. Splatoon 2 got one, but Splatoon 3 did not.
Yeah, and that, well, I mean, you could argue, well, there was already a Splatoon Pro Controller, and yeah, maybe. And then you could make the same argument for Xenoblade. But you'd also argue, well, I mean, they could have come out with new versions that are more representative for those particular games, right? So, and they didn't. And I would say that I hope I'm wrong on this. I really do. But I think the signs suggest that most likely not. I think there's a chance, and I'm not saying it's like dismally low, but I would say if I had to wager money, I would wager that a Pro Controller for Tears of the Kingdom will not come out. But I have
a feeling that the next generation system's gonna have a Pro Controller. It's just gonna be its own like Pro Controller. I'm hoping for analog triggers and maybe a actual headphone jack.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think with the analog triggers, it's one of those things that it has to match the primary controller, right? So whatever assuming they stick with Joy-Cons, the Joy-Cons need to also have analog triggers, which I don't think is impossible.
I don't think it does.
You disagree?
I don't think that that's true. I mean, Nintendo may feel that way, but I don't think that's. I think that's dumb. Why not have more features on a controller that's bigger, that can have the feature? Why exclude a feature that it could easily have just because your other version of your controller doesn't?
Because they have to because that every game has to be designed with the Joy-Cons in mind. That those come with the system.
No, it doesn't. Okay, I straight up will tell you, no, it doesn't. Most third-party games aren't designed with the Joy-Cons in mind.
But you can say that, but the thing is,
most games on the system aren't designed with the Joy-Cons in mind.
They're designed with just the basic controls in mind, which they're exactly the same as the Pro Controller.
But you can make it work and still have a different control scheme that works with the Pro Controller. There's no reason why you can't have both.
It would automatically mean there would.
It doesn't make any sense.
Different
you have some control schemes that only really work with the Joy-Con split, like in Prime. They only really make sense that way. And then there's several games that are built with like the split configuration. There's several games where you can only use the different controllers. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. You can have more features on a different controller that you pay more money for, as long as you make the work with both.
The point I'm making is that, like, for Nintendo, they wouldn't come out with they wouldn't have Joy-Cons the Pro Controller have analog triggers and the other would. They wouldn't do that. They would do it's going to be something that they're going to develop with that in mind. It's just creating more of a hassle than there needs to be. So,
what?
Is it possible?
That's
Yes.
dumb.
But it's literally creating
stupid.
more. It's creating more work.
No, it's
It
not.
is.
I disagree.
But it's just factually. Is it a lot of extra
it's
work?
Just factually not correct.
How so?
It's not extra work. You don't actually have to implement the feature just because the controller has it. You don't have to make every game work with analog controller sticks now because the Pro Controller has that as a feature. And you don't have to make games not work with non-analog controllers just because the Pro Controller does have the feature. It doesn't make any sense. You can just make the game how you were going to make the game initially.
I just think most games wouldn't take advantage of the analog triggers. That's what they will happen.
That's fine.
It would just be useless. It would be a
most
feature
games
just,
don't
never
take control of the IR sensor on the right Joy-Con. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but that doesn't
what are you talking about?
Pro controller. I don't know. I don't.
Well, it impacts one of the controllers.
It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
That doesn't make sense. I think they probably won't do it because I think they're really annoying like that. But there's no reason why they couldn't. It'd be very easy, very simple. They're just anal about it.
I think it could work, but it's just not something Nintendo would want to do because it would be too messy. So it's not gonna happen.
Okay.
But
I would agree to disagree.
Well, the thing is, I'm not saying we can't get analog triggers for the next system. I'm just saying that the Joy-Cons would need to have analog triggers too. Like, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying also improve the Joy-Cons. We want the Joy-Cons to improve anyway.
I would like that.
I want my Joy-Cons to not suck. I want to be able to hold a Switch.
Suck, but yeah.
Are you sure about that? Think of how
the Joy-Cons joysticks do suck. You know what?
Think of how many companies have an entire business that are just about building peripheral grips for the Switch.
To go even farther down the rabbit hole, Nintendo needs to use Hall effect sensors for the joysticks so that they stop drifting. Hall effect sensors, if you don't know, it uses magnetics instead of like friction-based calculations, I guess. Not really the right word, but it uses magnets instead of friction to detect the movement on the joysticks, so it doesn't wear out. So you don't get drift ever, because it's essentially just as long as the magnets don't wear out, which takes millions of years to do, you're fine. Or if you don't break in some other way. I would love that, because I think Nintendo would like that with how many lawsuits they get over the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I agree. They probably should do that. But let's move on with the chat here. Divas, I would have loved a dehydrated Ganon on that stone pedestal thing with the hand coming from his chest as a statue. Oh my god, that would have been an amazing statue. That would have been so freaking cool. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be statues that'll come out for Tears of the Kingdom. They just may not. Some of them may even be Nintendo official, but they're not going to be part of like the release, memorabilia.
Be like probably $100, $200 on their own.
They'll be expensive. Yeah. Moving on here. Very good. Super LuigiCon, regarding Metroid Prime 4, at this point I'm thinking it'll be exclusive to the next console. Do you think it'll be exclusive to next gen or cross-gen? First off, Charles Shadell, thank you. Thanks for acknowledging the joke.
Which game did he say?
MP4, that being Metroid Prime 4. So yeah, some people do think Metroid Prime 4 will be a Switch to exclusive. I don't really see how that's a good idea.
I don't think that they could do that. They announced it as a Switch game in 2017.
Yeah, so I got into a spat with Nintendo Prime on his podcast on Wednesday because he was like, yeah, I think it's going to be exclusive. And I was like, I just disagreed.
That would be such a slap to the face to the whole community.
I hard disagree. Yeah, his argument is that Nintendo wouldn't care and that people would be excited to buy it on a more powerful system. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, what if they just did it for both?
There'd be no reason to do it for both unless all the way back in 2019 they already knew the rough specs of the next system and started aiming for that. Yeah, which wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, my part of my argument is some people will. I think some people would want Metroid Prime 4 to be made with just Switch 2 in mind, but like we just got Prime Remastered. It's one of, if not the best looking games on Switch. Like that kind of goes to show you that they can make Metroid Prime 4 look and run amazing just on Switch. So, you know, whatever Retro Studios did with Metroid Prime Remastered, they'll have an even more up-to-date, more optimized engine for Prime 4. So, it's going to look and run better than Prime Remastered, which already looks good enough for what people were hoping for how Prime 4 would look on Switch. So, like, I'm not really worried about performance or how like Prime Remaster basically proves that we should not have to worry about how Prime 4 will look and run on Switch.
Right.
Like if Prime 4 should look and run better than Prime Remaster on Switch, and I think Prime Remaster on Switch already looks amazing. So, fantastic. Now, if the Switch 2 version takes that and runs it at 4K with maybe better draw distance or something, or like that would be cool. Like, do that. You know, maybe a few extra little graphical effects. Go for it. Like, and they can develop with that in mind, especially since the game's been in the works for so long. They may have known for a while that this is the direction they were going to go. So I think that's definitely in the cards. So for those who want like a version of Prime 4 to look amazing on Switch 2, I still think it's going to look amazing. Also keep in mind that a lot of games nowadays are designed with scalability in mind because they're aware that it's going to be available for multiple platforms. All Switch games have already been made with that in mind because you have to make it with both docked mode and handheld mode in mind. So now they'll also be probably making with whatever the Switch 2 specs are going to be too. Not to mention with just developers in general, even outside of Switch, they have multiple platforms usually developing for because most developers
even inside the one ecosystem. When you got like Xbox, you got the Series X and the Series S. And you still got those old consoles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that in terms of performance reasons, I don't think they need to wait to switch for. I don't think they need to have it exclusive for Switch 2. They can do it for both. Switch is still going to be relevant for a few more years. So yes, go cross-gen. Some people even think Switch Prime 4 could come out this year, which would mean that it's actually a Switch exclusive. And they would maybe be updated for Switch 2 down the road, maybe for like a DLC expansion, maybe like Tears of the Kingdom, which might force a double dip situation. It might actually work out well for its sales. So that's something else to consider.
Potentially.
I'm not saying Prime 4 is coming out this year. I'm just saying. Well, actually, that's an we're gonna get to that.
I would hope
we're gonna get to that in a moment.
You wouldn't have to double dip, and you could just either pay for the upgrade or get a free upgrade.
Yeah. Well, okay, I want to explain that in more detail, just kind of hold on it, because I want to catch up with the chat, and then we'll move on to our next topic, which is all the Metroid stuff, and then we'll jump into Tears of the Kingdom theories. We're getting through the topics here. I think we're doing actually a pretty good job. Let me see here. Okay. The Zelda fan film channel. I hope you're doing good. Haven't heard from you in a while. I'm glad you got your computer fixed. I got it fixed! I did!
Yeah.
Yes, I got it fixed. So my computer's been having issues for a while already. It's made editing a lot harder. Like Adobe's been crashing, not running well, and we thought it might be like a RAM issue or a graphics card issue. So the computer broke before any of the new stuff came in, by the way. But something Adobe crashed and somehow it like did something weird to my graphics card. So I don't know what I had to do, but I did all sorts of things. I restarted my computer a few times, but that didn't solve anything. I reseated the graphics card, which I took it out, put it back in. I blew on the HDMI port, so maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. I come from the 90s. Blowing works. Anyways.
Yeah. Maybe use a compressed air for that.
It's interesting because people will say that blowing on cartridges is a myth and doesn't work. But as someone who lived through the 90s,
it's not really a myth.
I strongly disagree with that. I've heard people say
it can be a myth because a lot of times just reseating the cartridge alone is enough.
Yeah.
But sometimes there just is dust in there.
Yeah,
so it's not like totally wrong.
Yeah, now you have to be careful when you blow because you don't want to spit on it, right? So that's
the thing. That's why using like a compressed air can is a lot better.
But anyways, I took out my graphics card, I put it back in, and then I uninstalled everything, the graphics drivers, and reinstalled it, and then it started working, which was great. And then my actual new tech came in, so then I installed the RAM, I installed the graphics card, I installed the power supply, which I don't normally do, so that Brandon had to help me a little bit figure that out.
Yeah, we were just very cool.
But then I realized, because I guess, what is it, like my motherboard has like, no, my graphics card had dated like ports, so the way I had my monitors set up, I could only use one monitor with the new graphics card so I had to order some cables to fix that. But anyways,
he doesn't have DisplayPort. He has HDMI.
Yeah, well, now I have everything, so we're good. Everything's running okay. And actually, we have a 60 FPS capture card coming in. So we may be seeing some 60 FPS videos in the future. I don't know if I'm going to make every video 60 FPS, because most footage we have is not 60 frames per second. So I don't know if it'll be weird if you watch a 60 frame per second video and then, and it switches. And that might be inconsistent. So we'll see. I also may have to upgrade other things about the computer to even see if we can do 60 FPS consistently. So there'll be some experiments maybe this week.
I think your camera may have a 60 FPS mode as well.
Yeah.
I'll have to look in.
I guess my point is that it depends, because, like, for example, like if I did a Zelda video where my camera's at 60 frames per second, but all the Zelda frames
you'll
are
just
30
have
frames
to
per second.
change it for those kind of videos. I believe.
It'll be a case-by-case basis, so we'll get to that. But anyways, yeah, so I got it fixed. There'll be some good 60 FPS gameplay soon. Nintendo Prime, yes, I hope my Zelda I wake up to 30K tomorrow. Right now, it's not doing well. It's not doing well. Part of it is because when you work so hard on something, you're hoping it performs better. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Fingers crossed, guys. Please watch the video after the stream. Be super helpful. Or if you don't want to watch the stream, watch the video. But yeah. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, I got a super chat from Samuel A. Thank you very much for the super chat, Samuel. Samuel says, "Do you think Nintendo's holding out a Twilight Princess and Wind Waker for next gen? Maybe full remakes." No, I don't.
Bro, but imagine.
Imagine.
Not for Wind Waker. I think they would start with like Ocarina of Time or something. If they were gonna do that, they wouldn't just start with like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
I actually do. So I actually do think we're gonna get a Zelda.
Especially
remake.
not Wind Waker. There's no point.
I do think a 3D Zelda remake is coming, and I think it's gonna be Ocarina of Time. So let me explain.
That'd be so hype.
Let me explain. The reason why, there's actually a few reasons why I think a Zelda Ocarina of Time remake is coming. Technically, it's rumor, but its rumor goes way back. Yeah. So.
Instant deep lore.
You know Game Over Jesse?
I know of him.
Game Over Jesse is a Zelda YouTuber, has contacts, and it was a while back, but he was saying, hey, listen, I was told about Zelda HD, and nothing materialized from it. But as we've discussed on this channel many a time, when it comes to rumors about games coming, if they're coming from what we apparently believe, what are good sources, and they don't happen, it doesn't mean the source was wrong. It just means the timing was off, or it was canceled potentially. But what I'm suggesting here is that maybe the timing was just off. Maybe he never knew when it would, or maybe he wasn't ever even wrong. He just said, "Hey, this is what I heard," and I have to double check, right? But I don't think there was ever like a timing to it. So what I'm getting at here is that maybe he heard about something in the works for that. Maybe it's something they were thinking about planning because they were thinking about what's going to happen down the road. Because look how long it's taken for Tears of the Kingdom to be made. 6 years. So how long is the next Zelda going to take to be made? They're going to want to one-up it too. It may take longer than 6 years. We'll be lucky we'll be lucky if it's less. Extremely lucky. If they somehow do it less, okay, cool. Maybe 5 years. Maybe 5 years. So we're talking about, I would say, best case scenario, we don't see the next Zelda till come out. Like, maybe it's announced beforehand, but it won't come out till like earliest 2028. But I feel like that's optimistic. It may not be till
2030 and it's getting delayed.
No, seriously. We may have to wait till 2029 or 2030 until it comes out. The Zelda games have been trending with longer and longer development cycles, which is not okay.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo's aware of this. So either A, they do something with the Zelda development in order for things to come out sooner, and that may be the case. I think maybe that was part of the hope with Tears of the Kingdom, but with COVID and their ambition, that didn't happen. So maybe if COVID doesn't happen, they are able to come out with a shorter cycle, maybe 2025. I mean, no. I meant 5 years after 2023, so 2028. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
2027's probably not. But what I think makes more sense is, don't rush the next Zelda game. Take your time with it. Have it come out towards the end of maybe it ends up being cross-gen.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
You cannot have it be cross-gen if you don't even have a cross-gen with Tears of the Kingdom.
Relax.
Like, that would be...
Relax. It's not as bad as it sounds. So we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom coming out now, right? I think that they will have a Tears of the Kingdom update for the next system alongside DLC, but the DLC will take a little longer. It'll be an expansion. It'll be kind of like a Tour of the Golden Country, like another Zelda adventure. So, and that will be kind of like that, right? And maybe they'll even do another one. If they think things are going to take a while, they could have maybe a few expansion quests that build off of Tears of the Kingdom. But then, in between that and the next big Zelda, insert remake. And I don't just mean 2D Zelda. I don't mean another HD remaster. I mean, at this point, what they already remastered Skyward Sword, so they can't do any more like remasters of like 3D Zeldas. They can give us Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, but they're not going to remake those. Not
but
yet.
They're gonna remake Phantom Hourglass.
Get that out of here. We are getting an Ocarina of Time remake. Ocarina of Time HD is happening, and by Ocarina of Time HD, I think it's going to be maybe even bigger than Metroid Prime Remaster.
Ocarina of Time 4K.
It'll be like Ocarina of Time remake. It'll be like new gameplay based off Ocarina of Time. It'll be based off the Breath of the Wild engine, but with something more akin to the Ocarina of Time art style. And it'll be like an in-between project to tide us over to the next Zelda game. That is a speculation of mine. We'll see. But I actually legitimately think it could happen. Because I think we're going to have to wait a long time before the next actual new Zelda game. So,
I would like to see some of the 2D games get brought over with remasters, at least, though. Like Link Between Worlds, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. I feel like they need, especially Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, I feel like they would really use a remake with like completely redesigned controls and things, and just completely redone visuals, because they're DS games. They look like worse than PS1 titles.
DS is like N64 level.
Yeah, there's no texture filtering, so it does end up looking a lot like PS1. But yeah, so it's very much of that era. So
yeah,
kind of needs a remake as well.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah, but no. I mean, like, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't screw those games.
There's a lot of really good DS games. You just need a good form factor. That's part of the problem with that.
Yeah,
but of course, you would have to reimagine it because the gameplay is based off the touchscreen. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you kind of have to reimagine the entire control scheme and probably all have the puzzles too. Yeah. Wait, definitely the one where you have to close the DS.
I think what happens is that you just don't do it.
No, do it.
Yeah. And maybe
because there's not really a good way to play those games anymore. And
if they find
them, it's not a good experience. Like, I want a legitimately good way to play these games.
Yeah,
I mean, they freaking did a full reimagining of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, but that wasn't DS controls. It wasn't based off a touchscreen.
Yeah, but still.
Link's Awakening is also
completely remade that.
Link's Awakening is also like a fan favorite.
Changed the gameplay.
Link's Awakening outsold Skyward Sword.
Link's Awakening was like a cult favorite.
It's very well, but it's very beloved.
Well, so is Fan Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
By
to
you.
me. By me.
Yeah.
Very much was.
Listen, I actually I liked Phantom Hourglass. I never played Spirit Tracks. I know I should.
Spirit Tracks was way
I should
better.
get it. I should
like,
get it for my
legitimately,
Wii U before
Phantom
it's too
Hourglass
late.
was decent, but Spirit Tracks was amazing.
Yeah. I should play Spirit Tracks. I gotta get on my Wii U before it's too late. I'm running out of time. Only like a couple weeks left. So I see I have another super chat here. A couple super chats actually. One for Taker610. Thank you very much for super chat, Taker. Taker says, "Reban NSO to just Nintendo Online, or no, NO."
Just no.
Yeah. Well,
that's my answer. No.
Well, you could also argue Nintendo Switch Online. If it sticks, it's because they're not getting rid of Switch naming. They will stick to it. I really think they should just do numbers. Make it clear cut. Never worry about it again.
Yeah.
And they can keep their online service
so there's
too.
some other revolutionary idea that actually makes sense.
Yeah, but PlayStation hasn't done that for its entire existence, and they've done well, so...
Yeah, but they've also stuck with like the same kind of thing. If it no longer makes sense to call it the Switch, then they're not
sure.
call it that.
I mean, but I don't think.
Down the line, when some unforeseen technology and our opportunity comes up to change the design that we can't even think of at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
But for now.
Yeah. Samuel A with another super chat as well. Thank you very much for the super chat. Samuel says, "Imagine an ambitious Ocarina of Time remake like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Those games had similar graphics when they originally released." Well,
not really.
No.
Final Fantasy VII was rendered completely different. A lot of pre-rendered backgrounds and extremely low polygon.
Depending on who you ask, some people say Final Fantasy VII looks better than Ocarina of Time. Some people be like, "You're an idiot. Ocarina of Time looks."
It depends
amazing.
on how you display it. To be honest, like pre-rendered backgrounds on a CRT compared to pre-rendered backgrounds on LCD, it's a world apart.
Well, Final Fantasy VII gameplay is mostly just pre-rendered environments with very simple models moving around on a 2D. It's two-dimensional gameplay, basically, and the fights are in 3D, but the fights do not look as good as Ocarina of Time. I don't even think it's close.
No, it's true. I don't think the PS1 looked nearly as good as the N64 in general. I mean, the lack of texture filtering and all the kind of
the
texture
N64 was just straight up more powerful.
The frame rate on PS1 games is often higher.
Yeah, it wasn't
There's
just
a lot
across
of
the board.
PS1 games actually.
Also, the PS1 ran on discs, which it could hold a lot more data, so there's less compression.
That's how you could get those pre-rendered backgrounds so good.
Yeah, and also they could have full motion video. They had recorded
FMVs for Final Fantasy VII are really good for the time.
And that's why I think some people may say Final Fantasy VII looks better, because it had cutscenes that looked incredible for the time. But they were cutscenes, they weren't actual gameplay. Ocarina of Time, the cutscenes were all rendered in-engine. And they looked really good for the time. But basically two very different styles. From a gameplay perspective, Ocarina of Time was obviously more impressive, but if you account for the cutscenes of Final Fantasy VII, those look amazing for the time too.
Pre-rendered backgrounds in general,
Yeah.
You get a lot more detail there.
Yeah. By the way, I will say that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, I think there's a chance we could see those come out sometime between the release of Tears of the Kingdom and the next Switch. Because Nintendo may release a lot of remasters between TOTK and then. I mean, they're already doing it. We got Prime Remastered like a week ago. We're getting Kirby at the end of this week, and
technically that's not in between Tears of the Kingdom and the next Switch. That's in between now and Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That we're already getting stuff even before that.
I get you.
Yeah, that I'm just saying we're getting a lot. But I think the Zelda ones would come out after Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, definitely after. I would hope sometime soon.
They would have announced it already if it was coming out before. So, watch until Shadow drop it tomorrow. Andres, you're an idiot. Here it is.
Watch them do as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Direct and they Shadow drop it after the Direct.
Those games are long. I don't think you do that right before a major Zelda game. People might be too busy.
They're not that long. They're like 30-hour games.
Zelda games are longer. They're long. They're long. Anyways,
I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah. Continuing on with the chat here. Game walkthroughs. Do you think we'll get Mario Maker 3 considering it's been already 3 years?
No. Why would they do that? Mario Maker 2 was like a flop because there wasn't enough of like actual new stuff.
Yeah. I don't think we're
And
gonna get
why would
more.
they come out with a third one with no reason for it to be there?
Well, I don't think
come out with
it
DLC.
do bad. I think Mario Maker 3 won't happen until the next Switch.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it. I think there will be a Mario Maker 3. I'm not saying they're gonna like kill the series.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not like the second one did amazing, especially compared to how much the first one took over Twitch.
Yeah.
And YouTube at the time.
Zach's Dulleth ASMR. Do you think Tears of the Kingdom will be way longer than Breath of the Wild? Yeah.
Probably. There's a lot more to explore.
Well,
I mean, you got the original landmass and more.
I think there's going to be overall more content to enjoy, but in terms of longer, that's based off on how someone chooses to play the game.
Yeah, of course.
But I think you can make it a longer experience if you choose to. So.
Let's just say this. With how good Breath of the Wild was, how much content, there's going to be at least that much content. And in no way are we going to be ever playing this game and be like, man, there wasn't enough content. That's not going to happen. So just don't. Totally I don't agree. Like the discussion when it starts being like 100-hour games where people are like, I want it to be even longer. I need even more hours. I'm like, bro.
Now, like, I'll say this. I know whenever this information comes up, we're like, yeah, this is not super indicative of what the game is, but I think it's slightly. So we know that the amount of space that Tears of the Kingdom takes up is like 18-something gigabytes, and I think Breath of the Wild was like 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me double check. Breath of the Wild file size. Google knew that already like.
I mean, it's a lot of the same assets shared.
Okay, apparently, Breath of the Wild is Nintendo's current largest game, that 14.4 gigabytes. But
oh wow, is it 14.4? Oh, maybe after the DLC.
Yeah, maybe after the DLC. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom file size 18.2. Yeah, I think it was after the DLC because I felt like it used to be 13. But anyway, point is, regardless, it takes up more space, and it's going to be, I guess, the largest Nintendo game. Now, some people may see those sizes and be like, oh, that's small compared to most other games on other systems. Yeah, Nintendo has really, really good compression technology. They actually bothered to compress their file sizes and make it work because, well, there's limited space on Switch. That too. Like, they're just really good at putting it all together.
They reuse a lot of assets in a lot of areas, and they also just in general don't have assets that are nearly as high resolution as on other consoles. Like the assets on like the texture assets on a game that will come out on like the Series X versus the Switch would, I mean, like, I don't have the numbers, but rough estimations would be probably like 8 or 16 times the resolution on an average texture. So
yeah,
there's a lot more space to take up.
Yeah, I think Tony X was saying, isn't Xenoblade X larger than Breath of the Wild? In terms of how much space it takes up, I think it is. But also, I think that was you need to buy a hard drive and attach it to your Wii U in order to play Xenoblade X.
No, I think Xenoblade X was. Oh yeah, it might have been more. No. I do remember that you had to
22.7 gigabytes.
Install it in like several different. How much? 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was like several different installs you had to do. It took a while. It took a long time down.
Yeah, you usually need to add an external hard drive.
Yeah.
Which the Wii U could attach to pretty easily, but yeah. I remember
even
I
on
bought
disc, you have to download a lot
hard
of
drives
things.
just for the Wii U. Which was interesting.
I got the discs version, and you still, if you want like the best experience with like the best streaming of assets, I think there was some like different optimizations if you downloaded the things instead of having it off the disc.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, now I got to download all this stuff.
Such a weird
I have the
situation.
Disc, I still have like 8 gigabytes on my system.
I think they definitely figured out how to put things together differently because that issue did not exist with any of the Xenoblade games on Switch. And the graphics technology has continually improved with those games. So
I think part of it may be the issue with just disk speed, like how fast you can read memory off of a disk is very slow. That's why, like, most games nowadays, even if they have discs, they don't run them off the disc. You just use the disc to download on the system instead of downloading off the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's. You ready to move on, Brandon?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, cool. Because I got relatively caught up with the chat. I know I couldn't get to everyone, but we got topics to discuss. We'll do some more Q&A at the end. All right, I got about 110 people watching right now. I see we've gone up and down.
Let's
Guys,
go.
if you could like the stream, it would be extremely helpful. Please and thank you. But
It'd be extremely helpful.
let's talk about the Metroid Prime rumor situation with 2 and 3, and then after that we're jumping into full-blown Tears of the Kingdom speculation. All right.
Cool.
So, Metroid Prime 2 and 3. People want these games to be remastered like Prime 1.
Mm-hmm.
It looks incredible. Maybe the best looking game on Switch.
Yeah,
And they have an engine in place. It's not impossible. But keep in mind, there was a rumor from Jeff Grubb that Prime Remaster would come. And part of that rumor also included that 2 and 3 would come as well. So there is information suggesting that they may come. Jeff Grubb even recently reiterated that they will come. But the initial rumor was that they would not be getting the same big boy remastered treatment. Remastered is incredible. Prime 2 and 3, they're not going to get as much work done. Now, we don't know what that means exactly. It may still be, they may still run the same engine. They may have some things improved, or it may just be like an upscale. Yeah, it might be.
Much smaller remaster, but it's got a whole new lighting engine.
That's, I mean, if it's just Skyward Sword HD, where they just basically put it upscale with cleaner textures, it would look good. But if they updated the lighting engine and redid some of the like that, at least like the player models.
It's very possible. But one of the best things about Metroid Prime Remastered is its baked lighting, where I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it, so I'm not going to say, like, don't quote me on the method. But typically with baked lighting, you use like offline ray tracing to like simulate the lighting, and then you bake it into the texture, so you have like static ray trace, I'm using air quotes, you can't see effects. That's why it looks so good. I'm not sure exactly how they're using it, but typically that's how it's done. Something to that effect.
Definitely.
And I think that even if they don't go back and, because Metroid Prime Remaster, they pretty much redid every single model in the game. So I don't think they need to do that for it to look way better. I think if they just use that baked lighting system, and it is the same engine. I mean, Remastered just uses an updated form of their engine. So if they can take Prime 2 and 3 and port it to that engine, they can use some of the features that are easier to implement, like that baked lighting. So if we can get baked lighting in with some cleaner textures and 1080p on 2 and 3, that would look really good.
Yeah, lighting. I did really like the lighting in Prime Remastered. It's amazing.
Exceptional.
So I mean, if they could do that, I'd be down. Especially if it still has the arm cannon lighting effect. So yeah.
I think that was just hard to do. It's hard to say why it's not in the game, but I suspect, along with Digital Foundry as well, that it has to do with the baked lighting in the game, because they weren't using any of that before, and it was using like a vertex lighting, where it was like faking the effect into the texture on the ground, whereas now there's like baked texture lighting in the texture now, so it may not have worked well. I think that might be why. So we may not see that effect with this kind of engine.
Interesting. I would have at least liked if the arm cannon, like, I didn't need every shot to just light the whole hallway, but like at least have it emanate light like the morph ball. Like that. Yeah. The morph ball did it. Why couldn't they do it with Samus's arm cannon? Purple for wave beam, red for plasma. Maybe. I mean, I guess the morph ball is also not as complicated as like a model compared to Samus. So
there's also just one light source, whereas if you're shooting like the power beam, you can have like a ton of light sources on screen. And if they're not fake, just painted texture on the ground like in Prime, if they're actual lights that need to be rendered, then that's a lot more expensive.
Yeah. But anyways, Brandon, so we're not entirely sure how they're going to look. The rumor suggests that they're going to be more simplistic, but you know, you always gotta take rumors with a grain of salt, right? They have this amazing engine. Metroid Prime 4 is clearly being made by Retro Studios. They actually finished Prime Remastered. We've seen from ratings that they finished the game back in like June of 2021. So the game's been done for a long time. We have proof that Nintendo just sits on amazing games. Like Prime Remastered has a 95 on Metacritic. And there's actually a lot of people that have actually gone over to reviewing the game. Like last I checked, it was in the 40s or 50s, or maybe even higher at this point.
I think I saw it was the highest reviewed game on OpenCritic.
Really?
At least for a while. I'm not sure if it currently still is.
Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm checking where it's at right now. Okay, some muck gave Metroid Prime Remastered a bad review, and it's now gone down to a 94 on Metacritic, which is still insanely high. So keep in mind, right? A 94 on Metacritic means a lot more than just like a random 10 elsewhere, right? Like IGN gave it a 10. You have a hot take, Brandon?
I wouldn't give it a 94.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that. But anyways,
There's just some things about the game I want to rant about. It has nothing to do with the remaster, but the actual original game itself.
We'll get to that. Let me give it Metroid Prime Remaster its flowers first, okay? So Prime Remastered, a 94 says a lot, right? Because you have to keep in mind that there's aberrations, there's anomalies that drag the score down. So a 94 is actually extremely good. It's one of the highest reviewed games on Switch. Metacritic is awarded a must play. If you haven't played Metroid Prime Remastered, I mean, I highly recommend. If you like first-person shooters, do it. If you like Zelda games, you'll probably like Metroid. So I strongly recommend. It's also only $40. So
yeah, great deal.
Yeah, it's a really good deal. Maybe one of the best deals that you can get on Switch right now. It's really fantastic. And it's done amazing, right? It's done amazing. We're still not done talking about the 2 and 3 situation, but let's cover. Yeah, you know what, Brandon, you can talk about your opinions about Prime in a bit. I want to focus on this rumor part first, right? So I brought up the reviews to say the game's really good. It's attracted a lot of attention. People want them to do something like that for 2 and 3. And because of how successful it seems to be, it's still holding up really well in Amazon sales, eShop sales. A lot of people who pre-ordered the game, the physical version, it's getting delayed up by a month. So I believe the implication there is that they just did not have enough stock for everybody. So it's getting pushed out. So it looks like things are in terms of sales, are very promising. Now, we don't know what this means in terms of hard numbers. We'll find out sometime down the road. But things are very promising right now for Metroid sales. So with that all in mind, you know, a lot of people are clamoring for a remaster for 2 and 3. There is, like, for people who don't pay attention to rumors, they think they're going to do that. A lot of people are expecting 2 and 3 to get the remaster treatment. I don't know if they'll do this, but I have to imagine that one of the teams, if not multiple of the teams that will help Retro Studios to finish Prime Remastered, will work on 2 and 3. Maybe they'll use that engine. Maybe they'll make some improvements. Maybe it won't be like a straight up HD port like Skyward Sword. Maybe it'll be something in between. And those games hold up a little bit better than Prime 1 because they're a little bit more modern. They had made improvements to the engine afterwards. Too. The what?
The scale of the environments is much bigger in those from what I've seen. A lot less small corridors, or at least there's more open environments. Some, at least. I don't mean like there's still corridors, but like in Metroid Prime, there's a lot of areas where it's like literally a hallway, and you can't see anything out of this small little hallway. It's like 10 feet
there
long.
Are large areas in. Are you saying there's just more?
I'm just saying there's a lot more open areas where you can just see like really far.
Yeah, I guess
like
I guess there are more
place
rooms
I keep seeing on Twitter.
There are more rooms that are larger areas in Prime 2 and 3.
A lot more long view distances and things, whereas Prime is you can't really see multiple rooms at once in Prime.
Yeah, I never really thought about that because you still see some beautiful stuff, but anyways, yeah, 2 and 3 2 and 3 could still look pretty good. Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah. But anyways, so while they are rumored, we don't know how good they're going to be remastered or look, and we don't know when they're going to come out. And while Jeff Grubb is saying this, we talked about on this weekend's video. Apparently, Nate the Hate. Now, I don't know if I should call it. It's not. He didn't really report it. Just his post-direct discussion. He doesn't think that they're coming. He think Prime 4 could come out at the end of this year or early next year, which I feel like is really soon. He didn't say it was based off any source particular. That's just his feeling. So maybe it's not really based off anything, just what he thinks. He's not really paying attention to like Jeff Grubb's rumors, maybe. But it's interesting that he's saying that. And I think there's an argument to be made for these different things. Like, there's an argument to be made that maybe they do the remastered treatment for 2 and 3. There's an argument to be made. I think
there's an argument to be made that they may have planned to do a more simple remaster for 2 and 3, but, you know, seeing how well Prime Remaster is doing, we're not sure exactly how well that is, but it's been #1 on the eShop since it's launched, and the pre-orders have been, like, really high on Amazon, and it's been selling a lot. There's a lot of buzz, so I imagine it's been selling at least a couple million at this point. So with the digital and pre-orders, like 1 or 2 million.
I have no idea. I just know it's
what I would
good.
guess, anyways.
Yeah.
So they might see that and be like, "Wait, we could probably put a lot more work into 2 and 3 and sell those individually as well for $40 each, and get a lot more sales out of each of them."
If they're gonna make that decision now after seeing initial sales, that would imply they're not coming out anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And depending on how like much of the remaster, like maybe they were gonna do like the full lighting and everything, but they just weren't gonna redo the models. But now they're gonna redo the models, so maybe, you know, it's not gonna be like a million years for releases, but later.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't take that long, anyways. But you know, they wouldn't come out this year. Is the point?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Just checking in the chat real quick. We're not done with this topic yet. Zonk's added me. Just wanted to say you've been doing an amazing job on the channel. Really happy to see your growth as a long-time, mostly silent listener. Thank you very much, Zonk. That's super appreciated. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you've been watching silently this whole. Oh, I mean, you could be silent or not silent. I'm just glad you've been watching. Yeah. CD Fox has gone to bed. Have a good night. DW for Smash with the super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. Thanks for the stream. See you next time. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. So, anyway, I see what Charles Shadell also added me. If they didn't want it to be leaked, they started production of the physical edition at the Shadow Drop, maybe, hence the shortage. Or we're saying that they didn't announce.
Oh, they didn't want it to leak, so they didn't start production till the announcement
of Prime
so it wouldn't get leaked.
That's, but I mean, 2 weeks out from release, that just seems like a little. Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe they didn't order as much. I feel most likely they had supply, they just didn't have as much supply as they wanted. I think that's more likely.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, Metroids doesn't usually sell super crazy numbers, so maybe it's selling pretty good numbers.
Right.
And they're just weren't expecting that.
Exactly. That's what I'm kind of hoping, which is good, which would be good news. Yeah. So anyway, I think there's an argument made that maybe 2 and 3 could get the treatment, but I'm gonna assume the rumor is true and they're gonna come out. However, you know,
I would hope they at least get the lighting in.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like my one thing.
Well, we don't know. You know, like there's a lot of like there's a spectrum in terms of how much work can be done here, right? We have honestly no idea. They could do as much work as they did for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which would still be a lot less than what they did for Prime Remaster, and it would still look really good. So it's hard to say. It really is. But you know how they would announce these games, how they would sell them, and how this might relate to the release of Prime 4, it's tricky. Now, Brandon, let me ask you what you think, right? Like, do you think that Prime 2 and 3 are coming before Prime 4?
I'll tell you. I think it depends on how much of a remake they are. I think it would make sense to do it before 4. Because I think 4 could come like next holiday, so there's still plenty of time. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be this year. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be both at once. We could have Prime 2 later this year. We could have Prime 3 early next year. We could have Prime 4 late next year. I think that's very possible. And I think they could all be remastered to a significant degree. Maybe not. Probably not as much. I'm going to bet not as much as Prime Remastered. But I would think there's a pretty decent chance it has that lighting engine, that baked lighting. Because since they are using the same technology, they should be able to port new features into that version of the engine. So hopefully we see some of the more easier methods. I mean, I'm not a developer, but I assume that baked lighting is one of the easier things to do, because you're pretty much just setting up light sources and things, whereas you're not authoring like new assets or anything.
So let's say they don't announce any Metroid game this summer, but September Direct comes around, they announce it, it's Prime 2 Echoes, it has some enhancements like the lighting like you talked about, and cleaned up textures, and it looks a lot better than the initial Prime 2, but not as good as Remastered, but still pretty good, and they sell it for $30, $29.99 to justify the fact that it wasn't as much work, and they just shadow drop it again. If that were to happen, at that point it'd be like, okay, Brandon's right. They're releasing a Prime game every half year intervals. So we'll see on that. But some people think Prime 4 can come out this year and we don't get 2 and 3. Like, Prime Remasters meant as the appetizer. We're excited about it. They've built up all this momentum. And rather than perhaps oversaturating people with Metroid right now, they just want people to really build off the hype for Prime Remaster and showcase Prime 4 comes out at the end of this year. What do you make
of the shadow drop for Prime Remaster kind of throws a real wrench into the plans, right? Because, like, why shadow drop it in the second month of the year and then just have nothing else Metroid for the rest of the year? It feels like they're making room for something.
Feels like they're getting it out quick.
Yeah. So if not 2 and 3 as a dual pack or something, why not Prime 4? And I do kind of, understand the idea of, like, not oversaturating everybody with Metroid by releasing so many, like, 4 games within 2 years, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, Prime 2 and 3 weren't as well received. And in fact, I'm scared of playing Prime 2 because I feel like I'm going to hate it. Because I've seen you play
they were still reviewed really well, but they didn't sell as much.
Some of the mechanics just look like it's like Prime backtracking annoys me, and if you let me, I'll rant about that for a bit later. But I feel like Prime 2 is like Backtrack Plus.
It's Prime 2 is a harder game than Prime 1. I'll say that. Yeah, I'm not sure, right? Like I do think there's an argument to be made that just releasing Prime 4 this year would work really well for the game in terms of sales. Like, especially like if there's no major holiday release for the second half of the year. It is Prime 4. Prime 4 is a major holiday release. It would have like that space to be like, this is the game. This is the game you get for this time period, you know?
Right.
And then that would still leave the door open for, as we talked about earlier, for both the Tears of the Kingdom and Prime 4 expansion with 4K updates on the next system. Like, they can still do that, enable like kind of like a little bit of a double dip situation. That's it wasn't like a free upgrade, but there could still be like something there.
Maybe free upgrade. I mean, like Xbox, you get a lot of free upgrades, but either way,
the DLC would cost.
A lot of people talk about Metroid Prime 4, and they're like, well, if they call it Prime 4, people will want to play 2 and 3 before Prime 4. But that's not necessarily true if 2 and 3 are not available on a system that they own. And most people probably just own the Switch. If 2 and 3 aren't available, and you just like advertise 4 as something that you can play, like, they'll just buy it. People aren't going to be like, well, I have to go buy a Wii now. Like, no.
Like, people bought Splatoon 2. People bought Splatoon 2. People bought Xenoblade 2. People bought, trying to think of other numbers. Bayonetta 1 and 2 were available for the system. Yeah.
I feel like maybe it does make sense to not have 2 and 3 available. In some ways,
I don't know.
You could argue that if Prime 2 and 3 aren't available, then people won't want won't feel the need to go buy those and play those first. So you'll get more sales out of Prime 4.
Yeah, I guess what's tricky about it is that I'm just worried that 2 and 3 won't sell that well.
Yeah, I think that's what I think Nintendo might worry about as well.
Yeah,
that's why I think they'll definitely do. I do feel like they'll do the dual pack. I know earlier I said that they could do one game, like split. How I was talking earlier, but I don't actually think they're going to do that. I think they will do the dual pack because I think they're going to be worried about the game selling on their own.
I think you just sell it.
I think if Prime's series was a much stronger seller, then they would have that potential. But
I mean, Brandon, let me ask you this: like, what's this? Like, I know the dual pack seems like a fun idea, but I feel like this is an idea. Like, where does this idea for dual packs come from? Like, people talk about, we should get a dual pack for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker as well.
That one, like, I don't really agree with.
Yeah, but like, well, I understand it would add value.
I think it comes from the trilogy on the Wii.
Sure, but then it's no. But like, if there was a trilogy that existed before, you take out the first one and you just do 2 and 3. Like, doesn't that kind of seem a little weird? Like, I don't know. Like, I personally, I just don't see them doing a collection. Like, can you imagine? Like, just think about this from someone who doesn't have any understanding of the situation regarding Metroid or news. They go to the store and they see this Metroid Collector's Edition, Metroid Prime 2 and 3. Play it here, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's 2 and 3, but where's 1? Like, that's just kind of strange that they would do that. Like, either
strange.
I personally don't see it. Now that said,
maybe they'll do a thing where you can buy them both on the eShop.
And that I agree with. That I can see a deal where you can get one at a discount, or because they have to be cheaper than Prime Remastered anyway. Since Prime Remastered is selling for $40, release them each for $30. You can still get them from the price of $60. They can still be the same thing. They just are technically 2 separate game downloads, or technically 2 separate physical releases. Actually, if they're more basic remasters, they might not even get a physical release.
They wouldn't release at the same time. Then they would definitely split it, because there's no way Nintendo's going to try to advertise and market 2 separate releases of Prime and pay for the packaging on both of them at the same time.
Yeah, while we are concerned that Prime 2 and 3 may not sell that well, I think it is worth noting that this subject of 2 and 3 getting remastered, there's a lot of people who seem actually pretty excited about it. So we might be underestimating the allure of these games. And
it's also different if it's a full remake like Metroid Prime Remastered versus a more simple HD, or like, we're not sure what it is.
Yeah, but
or if it's even gonna happen. So
yeah, it's tough to say. My perspective has been that we'll see 2 and 3 when Nintendo shows off Prime 4, because they're not going to be as impressive. Sort of use the reveal of Prime 4 to excite people, but say, hey, it's coming out next year. When in the meanwhile, you can play 2 today and 3 a little bit later down the road. Something like that I think would work really well to kind of get people excited, and they would be more likely to buy 2 and 3 because they want to kind of get that story. And Prime 4 kind of markets 2 and 3 because of how amazing it's going to look. So, anyways, though, Brandon, I know you want to put out some thoughts about Metroid, but I do want to get to the Tears of the Kingdom stuff, because I don't want to drag this discussion on for too long. I've been up since 6.
It's fine. I can just rant to you about it later.
I don't want you to insult Prime Remaster. It kind of annoys me that you have negative things to say.
I don't insult Prime Remaster. I'm going to insult Metroid Prime itself.
You get 60 seconds.
That's actually not going to insult any. Okay,
go. You got 60 seconds.
Fast travel, it should have been in the game.
The what?
Also, backtracking. There's fast travel should be in the game.
Okay.
The amount of backtracking in this game is absolutely horrendous. Also, those Metroids at the end, right before you defeat Metroid Prime, in that last room that can change colors and they infinitely respawn. Screw those people. They kept knocking me off. In fact, the very fact that enemies can just knock you off so easily and you bounce like a freaking balloon is ridiculous. Like, I get hit by like one blast, I get knocked the frick off 10, fall all the way down the room and try to climb up in one part. It's annoying. Backtracking is annoying. The physics for platforming is annoying. And also, there should be,
Has it been 60 seconds yet?
Map. I don't know, but you should be able to put things on the map, like draw.
So, yeah.
Notes. I need notes. Or like pins.
Jerry, I agree. My thoughts as Brandon was talking was get good. Just get good.
It's just annoying. It's not how good you are, no matter what you do, unless you have a speed
Brandon,
run
can I ask you a question?
strategy.
Can I
You're
ask you
gonna
a question?
backtrack a million times.
Can I ask you a question? How many times did you die playing Metroid Prime?
3?
That's not bad.
I died one time with being really stupid, trying to go somewhere I don't think was possible, and I died in the lava.
So, assuming we don't count when I streamed Metroid Prime and I intentionally waited till 69 seconds to escape the space frigate, and then I burned myself alive because I forgot to scan the Parasite Queen, I have not died playing Metroid Prime. But keep in mind, I've been playing Metroid Prime for years, right?
Yeah, this is my second playthrough of the game.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people talking about Metroid Prime on Twitter, and people being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I found a save room, thank goodness." And they're like, kind of like comparing it to Dark Souls, and like, interesting.
That bad. But
like,
sometimes it is annoying. Like, usually there's save rooms in a lot of places, but there are certain stretches of the game where it's a while before you get saves, and there's a lot of enemies, and they do a lot of damage.
I think something they can do for future Metroid games is either make elevator rooms be portals to other elevator rooms, or save stations be portals to other save stations. Yeah. And
save stations, depending on, I think in the original Metroid that might be a little too much, because there's a lot of save stations. But I would be happy, with the elevator idea. For sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, by doing that, it doesn't necessarily take away from some of the backtracking, because the elevators take you to the area. You still have to explore the area.
Right.
Because, I mean, in Metroid Prime, there's a lot of areas that are redone or have remixes to them, because you were expected to come back, right? Like, some
and there is some nice, there is intentional game design in the backtracking to, like, find stuff you didn't find before. And there is, I do think this is kind of trying to correct bad design with the fact that you can't put things on your map or leave notes on the map saying hey, I noticed that there was something here. You're kind of like, oh, now that you're forced to backtrack, you'll probably notice. It's like, okay, but it's just kind of trying to fix not great design, to be honest.
Two things I think they should, looking at Prime 1 and how they should change things for Prime 4, totally agree. There should be a way to add markers on your map, which they did in Metroid Dread, right? It's more of a common thing with games now with their maps. So add markers, and maybe a fast travel between elevators or save stations, one or the other, potentially both, but that depends on how the distribution goes. But something like that would take away from how annoying backtracking can be. But still facilitate the quality backtracking where you do come back to an area, but you come back to an area where you have in mind what you're looking for. It may be marked on the map. And
I don't want to wait through 3 other areas to get to the area where I actually have something I can do. Yeah. The last thing I'll say, I said I wouldn't give it a 94 because I'd give it an 85. It's still really good.
Get out of here. Yeah, you're trash. Game's a masterpiece. You're so wrong.
No, I disagree.
You just suck. You're just bad at the game. You shut up. I'm just kidding. You're entitled to your opinion. 85 is still a good score. I also think numbers are kind of arbitrary, so
they are.
Yeah. I'll tell you that I'm gonna be playing Metroid Prime several times over. I've restarted the game 4 or 5 times. I'm in the middle of my second playthrough. I would have played it if I wasn't busy working I don't know how many hours. I would have probably beaten the game 3 times already. But yeah. So let's now transition over to Tears of the Kingdom speculation. Although, I will say this, Metroid Prime in the chat says this. I do agree with a lot of those points, actually, Brandon. But I'll be honest, I just used the power bomb for those Metroids and just ran through as best as I could. See?
Fair.
Metroid Prime got
that's actually a good strategy.
Yeah, the power bomb needs to be used.
I ended up just running away.
Running away from a Metroid...
They infinitely respawn.
running away from Metroid, not always the best idea.
I dodged him. I got like, I didn't actually get caught. I managed to get through without. But yeah, it's tough.
It's tricky. I mean,
they
tried,
come after you, but you can sidestep them pretty easy because they go in a straight line.
Yeah, but if you fall off the platform, it's when there's like two.
Yeah,
like,
that is the tough thing.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky.
It's very easy to fall.
But I mean,
Sometimes
to me, that was just part
like...
of the challenge. Like, I didn't see that as a bad thing. I was okay. This is part of the challenge. So.
It was just annoying. The most annoying part was just that instantly respawn, and I kept like
you could
it wasn't
kill him,
something that I could just get rid of and then just keep going. And it was right before a final boss, so I didn't want to like take damage.
Yeah, you know what's interesting though? Like when I play Metroid Prime now, I kind of know how much better I've gotten at the game because I didn't find the final boss hard. Really,
I lost the first time barely.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't even close. Wasn't even close to dying.
Yeah, the second run, I wasn't even close to dying.
Yeah, but the thing is, I know the game really well. Like, I just know it really, really well. So, yeah, I mean, like, I can play... Like, Dread was hard when I played it through for the first few times, but now I can go and it's a lot easier. It's still hard, still challenging, but, yeah. I will say, I get upset when I try and get into, like, a fight with a space pirate and they hit me. I'm like, damn it, they hit me. I'm bad at this game. Like, that's what I think. I get hit once and I'm bad at this game, but I have like 1200 life or something. So yeah. But guy you don't know says Metroid Saturns also had map markers. Okay, yeah. Modern Metroid games have map markers, so Prime 4 probably will have them too. Metroid Prime says in the chat, I still adore the game, which yes is ironic considering my name, but I do agree that there are some aspects that are a product of the time. Yeah, absolutely. But Prime 4 will modernize that. Stat said Prime Remaster still feels pretty good. I think the game is modernized really well. I might do a review for it. We'll see. I'm divided on that one, but we'll see. There is more Metroid stuff coming soon. I talk about Metroid, so that shouldn't come as a shock. But anyways, let's now get into some Tears of the Kingdom speculation. Yeah. So, Brandon, let me throw something out at you. This is not my own theory. Yeah. This is something I saw from Monster Maze and Zelda. They each did their own pair of videos. I'll talk about some of my theories in a bit, but this is kind of a cool thing that I didn't realize that they pointed out. So, you know in Tears of the Kingdom, the latest trailer, how there's like these pockets of malice all throughout?
Yes. I saw your video today. Oh. You were talking about.
What'd you think?
It was good. I was also distracted while I was watching it, but it was a good video. I think that it would be cool if the malice was like holes into the underground, though. And I think that the shadowy connecty things might be easier ways to teleport from the bottom to the top of the...
Yeah. You know? So do you agree that those those shadowy lines we're seeing from the islands going down below?
I think you gotta connect them. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think they connect to those green swirly things potentially, and they're a way to like jump up quickly to the sky. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think that those green swirly things on the ground are either a way to get underground or a way to easily get above ground. I do feel like they swirl up, so I feel like they could be like almost a way to like launch yourself into the sky to get to the island quick, or maybe even a teleporter or something.
Yeah. I mean, to me, what it feels like, I mean, we saw my video, so you kind of know where I'm coming from here. It feels like they've intentionally designed a lot of things to do in the sky, a lot of things to do on the surface, and a lot of things to do down below. And I do kind of feel like it's about kind of connecting them, and the kind of going between them. So I think, yeah, like as you progress in the game, it will be hard to get to the sky, to the surface very quickly. But as you complete these challenges or shrines, potentially creating links or activating links or portals, all of a sudden, the traversal to below and above becomes a lot more accessible.
I'm so hoping that they confirm underwater exploration.
Yeah, Sorasun, we see you in the chat. Sorasun says, I'm still holding on to underwater exploration and a painful water temple. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Give me... I want to be exploring underwater and find like a cave that leads down, or like a tunnel that leads down to like a big cave that you can only access from that bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that would be epic.
We haven't seen evidence of it. And
I just feel like with the history of how many Zelda games Link can like explore the water, like why not?
James, we are not discussing the spoilers in this stream. We're not doing.
No, yeah, I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, so yeah, we're not discussing them. But I will say that I do believe that there will be underwater exploration, and I'm not saying that because I've seen anything that 100% confirms it. But I'll tell you this. I think it's very. I think there's a lot with Tears of the Kingdom that they're not showing us. I think they're intentionally hiding a lot of stuff. So I think the fear or the thought process of, oh, they didn't show us, therefore it doesn't exist, that is a fallacy. They're intentionally not showing a lot of this game. So there's a lot of elements and dynamics we know next to nothing about, if not just basically nothing at all. So I think there's a lot about this game that they're going to show us, and we're like, oh, cool, we can do that. Oh, cool, that's there. Oh, wow, that exists. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of that.
I'm not even convinced we've seen the map in its actual state, like the way it's actually going to look in the final game. Because we didn't in most of the trailers. They keep adding stuff constantly, and I'm still not convinced that we've seen the final version of the actual map ever.
I don't know. I mean, it's strange, right? Because I think some shots we've seen the vortex above Hero Mountain, and other shots we haven't. We haven't always seen the mountain.
I mean, there's some shots in the earlier trailers where there's literally nothing in the sky.
Well, the other thing, yeah, I mean, to that point, right? Like with the latest trailer, we see so much in the sky.
But I mean, every single trailer, they keep adding stuff to both the sky and the ground.
Yeah,
it literally just was not there in the other trailers.
Yeah, like the two previous trailers, like we saw things in the sky, but there was nothing like this latest trailer. Like it looks like there's so much there, and it looks like we can't even see how high it goes. Like it goes like we're super high up in the sky from some of the footage we see in the trailer, and yet you still see things like
still going
up, and you can't see it. So like, we have no idea how high it goes. But also, the underground, like, we have no idea how big that is either. We have no clue. And if there is underwater exploration, that's a whole other layer. It's insane. And we don't know what they're going to do with the borders. Part of me thinks they're just not going to touch them, but we really don't know.
I feel like the sea border is going to be opened up.
I like that.
There's gonna be more ocean with islands.
I agree with. I kind of agree with that. I think they're gonna expand.
Dude, imagine being able to build your own boats. Like, bro, they're gonna want to do that.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a given.
With that like car building stuff.
You know what, Brandon? I think you're 100% right. I think you will be able to.
I want to sail the open sea in my own crafted boat.
I mean, it makes sense because literally the trailer, we saw that you can craft a car. You can craft an air balloon. You can craft a hovercraft. You're gonna tell me you can't create a boat? Like Breath of the Wild had like a raft, and you could get like a leaf to like.
You can get some speed on that bad boy.
What was cool about actually this is it. I'm glad we're going in this direction. So consider this. Okay. A lot of the mechanics we saw from these crafting abilities, the air balloon, right? The hot air balloon that you can make. In Breath of the Wild, you could create hot air balloons by grabbing a whole bunch of the Octorok balloons and planting it onto like some sort of platform. And it would be like a makeshift hot air balloon. You could do that. You could also create a flying device by stacking two different minecarts together in a particular angle and then using magnesis to trick the system and fly around Hyrule. This is also possible. And with the car, okay, I don't know if there's any weird. Well, I mean, there's a lot of cool stasis techniques. Point is, these were really cool tricks that people came up with that were very popularized. Nintendo's 100% aware that they exist, and it really feels like that they saw those things and they're like, okay, people were doing this. Let's make it a little bit more accessible because they're actually some of these things are very hard to do, so not everyone can do them. Let's make these things accessible for more people so they can fly around Hyrule or go really quick, and let's take it to another level. And with all that in mind, another one of those tricks was to actually kind of make like a makeshift motorboat in Breath of the Wild. You would grab a chest and you would use magnesis to push the sailboat. You could do that in Breath of the Wild. It was you had to get the angle right, but you could do it. Wasn't super easy. So same train of thought. They made these cool sort of exploits more accessible for a larger audience.
Right.
So yeah,
they turned exploits into features. It's not a bug; it's a feature.
Exactly. They're turning exploits into features. So I do agree. I think that there's gonna be a way to craft boats, and I think it does make sense to expand at least the ocean, because the ocean was like a little limited. And understandably, because you couldn't really do much there.
It didn't go out very far, but it covered a lot of the edge.
But I think if they expanded a little bit, add a few more islands, maybe there could be like floating platforms that are added. You know, like that's possible. Heck, you could bring back pirates. I mean, you had pirates from the Wind Waker. You had pirates in Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask pirates, bro. Oh.
And here's another neat idea, right? Like so. The ocean's not too. I mean, obviously the ocean's like the bottom right corner, and the east and the
like
southeast.
South.
Right, like the east and southeast, right? But there's also the Gerudo, which are south. Like so, there is like a boundary there.
Yeah.
In Majora's Mask, there were pirates that were basically they looked like the Gerudo from Ocarina of Time. What if they were to kind of have like maybe a subset of Gerudo thieves that were also pirates? That'd be cool, especially because they're right. The ocean's right next to the desert. Like they could do that.
I just want the Gerudo to just start being like, I want to go out and venture on the ocean now. Bye.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole subset of things that'd be epic.
And also, they had a lot of overall
I do think
bosses
there's gonna be.
Go on.
I just as an overall concept, I think there's gonna be like subsets of people from each of the different races and areas that leave and go form their own small communities elsewhere. I think that's gonna be a part of the game for sure.
Yeah. I also think whatchamacallit, my brain. Oh, so I brought up overall bosses, right? Like you look at overall bosses in Breath of the Wild, there was several for the typical terrain, but in the desert they had Molduga. In the water, there was nothing. There was huge opportunity to like throw. Granted, there wasn't as much to explore in the water, so I guess there wasn't as much reason to add those. But and also exploring the water with the sailboat was very limiting. So they probably didn't want to like put something there to like completely wreck you. But
yeah, true. You can't really move the sailboat and fight at the same time with the normal way you're supposed to do it with the leaf.
Yeah. But if they give you more boating options, if they give you more swimming options, potentially underwater
yeah, I mean,
options,
if you can put a motor on your boat and actually have it like drive itself, get some Phantom Hourglass type action in there.
But yeah, basically expand water gameplay. If they do that, then it opens up, okay, we're going to expand the map a little bit, put more things in here to explore. Let's also put enemies in there, fill that up. So give us like the sharks from the like straight up give us all the sea enemies we saw in the Wind Waker, but in Tears of the Kingdom. Give us the overall boss of the giant squids.
Oh, bro. Imagine if you could get like a cannon.
Yes.
Dude, I really think that the building potential for like that part, well, I don't think it's going to be like a massive part of the game, and like I think it's going to be something that has a huge amount of potential. I think it's going to be cool. I really hope that there's just like I can build my own boat and put like all kinds of different weapons on it, and then like find materials to like go craft a cannon to put on my boat. Dude, that'd be epic. I really hope there's like crafting of these materials for these things you're building, because we don't know if some of them seem like more designs that can't be iterated on top. Like the hover machine seems like a more completed design, at least to me. It may just be the way it's built.
Yeah.
But like in the car, looks very much like nobody really designed that. They just like slapped the components together in a rectangle. You know, it doesn't look like
it looks like more of a makeshift thing.
Yeah, more makeshift.
Yeah.
So like I'm wondering how like, where is the line here? Like, is it gonna be that we find parts to build a specific blueprint and we can't really do anything other than that? Or can I just find like wheels and cannons and like craft my own wheels and cannons and
I feel the implication
and make my own stuff?
I feel the implication. I want to say that the implication is that there's a bit of flexibility. I don't know what the limitation. I imagine there have to be some limitations, but I mean, if you can find a platform, put some wheels on. If you can slap some wheels on some sort of platform, go for it. You know, like, you know, it'd be really cool if you can cut down a tree, use the tree log as like, and just put wheels on it, and it's like a little rocket ship, like a rocket car. Like, it's just the long narrow car. That'd be cool.
I want to know if I can build a triple-decker car with cannons on each level. That's what I want to know. Can I build something like that?
Imagine Tears of the Kingdom's like multiplayer and just building these crazy things and just duking it out with people. I don't know if they're gonna do. I doubt they'll do that. But
yeah, then I could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, there's other games that don't scheme like that already. If you want to play something like that.
Yeah. Roblox. Don't do it.
Oh yeah.
Don't do
that too.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you might get. Yeah. Wow, I'm not gonna say it.
Moving on into the chat here. Hello, there's Xander A. Super Chris, welcome back. Let's see here. Mark that complete. I generally think the I'm not gonna talk about the character in the trailer. You mean? Yeah. I mean, maybe it could be the hero. Yadvav. Sup, Andre? Quick question. Have you noticed it? I'm not gonna talk about that.
There's spoilers in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mods, get him out of here. Get him out
please,
of here.
No spoilers. Even though I know, but no.
Don't be spoiling nothing. Don't ban him, just take the comment off and warn him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just, yeah.
I mean, technically, I don't think we ever said don't put spoilers in the chat, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. You shouldn't. We did say we weren't going to talk about spoilers. So.
Right. So yeah, it's nothing personal. I'm removing things that related to spoilers.
Let's see. We will not be discussing the leaks, and we don't want the leaks in the chat.
Yeah. I did see them,
only officially shown from Nintendo information.
Yeah. Hello there, Yellow Kazoo. How are you? Yeah. But so, you know, let's continue. There's a few other things I want to discuss before we call it a night. So, I think there's gonna be 7 dungeons at least.
Okay. Because of the 7 tiers.
Because of 7 tiers, I think they're gonna be for 7 sages. Yeah, 7 sages at least. Because in Breath of the Wild, there are the 7 heroines in the Gerudo Desert, but there's actually a translation that shows that the 7 heroines are just another interpretation for the 7 sages.
Oh.
And what makes this more interesting, there's actually an 8th heroine, the lost heroine, someone else.
There's a question
so exactly. So there actually are 8 sages. 8
That's
sages.
wild.
8 sages, maybe 8 dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom, and if you account for the final boss, that'll be its own dungeon too. There could be 9 dungeons.
Yeah.
Like if that's the direction they go with each sage, and 9 dungeons potentially.
No,
which would be pretty crazy.
I'm really wondering if that big gray, almost concrete-looking structure we see in the sky constantly, almost every time they show the sky, they show this thing. I wonder if that's a dungeon. It's pretty big. Looks like you go inside it. Like, it's a big... In the sky, there's a big gray building. It's got, like...
Yeah.
U-shaped, almost...
I don't... It's very large. Yeah, I wonder what it is. I don't know if it's a dungeon. It could be, but maybe it's like a sky... like the starting area,
Or
what if it's like a metropolis, or like what if it's like people live there or something?
Yeah, not sure. It looks pretty big though.
It's very big.
Like a design stands out a ton.
It's definitely
clearly like a very intricate like pathway leading up to it too.
It's a place of importance. I'll be disappointed if it's just like there. Like it better not just be there. Like it has to be. Like, you have to be able to go inside of it, explore it. It has to have a purpose.
I mean, it's gonna have a purpose, but like what the purpose is. I mean, there's some parts in Breath of the Wild, like you go, like there's this huge Colosseum area, and there's like some Lionel stuff fight, but otherwise there's like nothing really to do there. So, if like not every area that looks important has like the most content ever.
Yeah.
But I do think that has the potential for being maybe a shrine replacement or a dungeon or something.
Was there really nothing in the Colosseum? I mean, the Lionel's pretty cool.
I just remember the Lionel, to be honest. Maybe some Korok seeds. Well,
there was.
I think in the DLC they added some stuff that you could find there in the chests.
There was some good items you could get there. I like you can even fight like the enemies there have some good weapons too. I can think we go to the Colosseum, you can get a lot. I just meant
there's not like a ton of puzzles and there's not a shrine there.
You go to the Colosseum to fight.
Yeah.
Which actually makes sense. It's a Colosseum.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you go to the Colosseum to fight, and you get a whole bunch of gear and armor and weapons, and so it's. I think that was his purpose, but I totally get your point though. Like, I hope that there are a lot of these interesting. I have to believe that there's more to these structures than just like, oh, there's an enemy there. Because I mean, we've talked about it earlier. Like, if anything, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be more dense with more content, more things to do than Breath of the Wild, right? So even if there is maybe a possibility that a large, interesting area won't have as much as we might hope for, the odds of that are less in Tears of the Kingdom. So, and especially if it's being shown off in all the trailers, and it's probably like something we see near the beginning of the game. I think it's got to be related to like
seems important.
The early on in the game, either it's like the first dungeon, or it's like a training ground, or maybe where you wake up, or maybe like the starting town area, something like that. Yeah,
could be where you start the game in the sky.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's like, what if there's like a central location for whatever civilization is up there, and you know, whatever goes down, there's obviously some sort of external third-party force that helps out at least Link. We're not sure about Zelda yet. And maybe that's where they go. That's where he's resuscitated, repaired, or what have you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I
mean, where you start the game, in the sky after being fixed up.
But maybe it's not even like just a ruin. Like, there could maybe even be people there. We don't know. Like, it's not impossible. So, yeah, I think there's something to it for sure. We don't know what, but it's definitely a very important place. Let's see here. Yadvav, maybe you can gain powers from every stage, like Ocarina of Time wanted to have medallions that would give Link powers. You know, I think that, you know, kind of like looking at things, right? I feel that there are going to be these dungeons. I don't think they're going to function exactly like the past, but I think that each dungeon is going to feel unique, have its own theme, and maybe a little longer than the Divine Beasts, and also have a unique boss fight at the end, and you will be rewarded with some sort of power-up. I don't think it's going to be like a hook shot, or like a Megaton hammer, or like a spinner. Like, those may be cool, and maybe we too obtain some sort of item that's kind of like that, or an ability. But I think, I mean,
they could theme the dungeons to be like, with a specific type of puzzle in mind that maybe uses a specific item a lot, and then just keep giving you a lot of the items.
Sure, but the item needs to be something you can find elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, not a unique thing in the dungeon, just like the dungeon shows off the cool puzzles that you can do using these specific items.
I mean, that's an interesting idea. Like, maybe you can find the items elsewhere, but it gives you more. It forces you to learn how to use that item better. Maybe that's an interesting idea. And here's another idea, right? So like the divine beasts each gave you, when you beat them, you got a power of the champion, right? And they were abilities that made exploring and fighting in Breath of the Wild easier and better, but they were not needed. So they could come up with power-ups like that, and either A, they give them to you after you beat the entire dungeon, which, yeah, maybe they could do that, or they could still reward you with some sort of blessing in the dungeon. Maybe like the sage, like maybe you have like every dungeon there's a story where you learn more about that particular sage, and they reward you or train you with their power. They give that to you, and while you don't need the power makes it easier to perhaps fight like the boss or something, you know. It offers you an advantage, or it's just something they give you as a reward afterwards. Either or is fine with me. And I guess you could argue as a reward afterwards, it kind of makes it feel more satisfying when you beat the boss, I guess. But also, I think with Breath of the Wild, the divine beasts were technically optional. You didn't have to do them at all. So
I did them all.
So rewarding you with a power up and more story was I guess they felt more compelled to offer up an enticing reward since they were optional. If they're mandatory to complete the game in Tears of the Kingdom, then you don't have to have as much of a reward, I guess. Your reward is progress, and take it like it's possible.
About the rewards, I just hope I doubt the rewards will be as like overpowered as Mipha's Grace, because that is just the most overpowered thing in the whole game. Essentially, just doubles your life for free.
Rivali's Gale is the most useful.
Rivali's Gale is very nice, but Mipha's Grace makes the game go from pretty hard to pretty easy.
But Daruk's Protection just adds another layer there.
Daruk's Protection is skill based though, somewhat at least. You gotta like timing.
No, it's not. You just hold the shield.
No, I mean,
that's it.
Depends. No, I don't mean. That's not what I mean.
What do you mean?
Like, if you're not holding it down, it doesn't help you. Like, you at least have to be conscious to activate the shield at a time when you think it's necessary. Mipha's Grace is just, you're way more health now. And if you die, well, you're just going to come back with even more health.
All you have to do is lock onto the enemy. You can still swing your sword. Like, you should be holding Zeal the entire time pretty much anyways.
Yeah, but it's also, like, barely any help.
I actually don't like Daruk's Protection. I think it's annoying. So, I usually turn it off.
That's arguable. Oh, I forgot you can turn them off. Yeah, that does make the game easier, at least. And I don't find it annoying. I just didn't find it that helpful, to be honest.
Yeah. Checking with the chat
Mipha's Grace is OP.
Joy CJ, as long as each dungeon has a unique boss and different interior decorator. With unique music and narrative as well, 100% agree. Joyce J. added me, what about unique weapons for each dungeon but not used outside of said dungeon? That would be different. Like, they only exist within the dungeon. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel, because then I'd be like, oh, but there's this cool power and I can't use it again. Like, think about that. You imagine getting this really cool item that you can only use inside the dungeon and never use again. I don't think they would do that. Yeah. Yeah. And yes, Yadvav, you can turn off the champion powers. If you go to the rightmost page where you know when you check your items, and if you go all the way to the right, you can see like your key items, and it'll show like the orbs.
Just click on it.
You can click on it and turn it off, and it'll
like grays out.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Mipha's Grace. Yeah, Mipha Kazoo. That's right. She's cool. Rivali's Gale, though, is the best. So, alright. Let me explain. Rivali's Gale is the best for me because it just makes exploring and traversal a lot easier, a lot more fun, and a lot quicker. Mipha's Grace happens when you get wrecked. I mean, I do like it sometimes. It's nice. It's like you know when you have like 1 or 2 hearts, you're like, damn, this sucks.
No, I don't like Mipha's Grace. I think it makes the game way too easy too quickly.
I like Mipha's Grace because I can do it, and I could just let myself get smacked just to max up my hearts. It's like I'll like jump off a cliff just to like heal myself.
But like, you get what I mean, like, right, like, normally to increase your life, you need to go and do shrines and puzzles, and, you know, 4 of those is like 1 container. But Mipha's Grace is just, it's more than doubling whatever health you have, because when you die, you come back with all your health and a ton of gold hearts. Well, I guess food in general just kind of makes the game broken anyways, so who cares?
Yeah, I also didn't like cooking, so...
I like cooking, I just think it was a little bit too easy to make things that were insanely good.
See, we just had different perspectives. Like, it's not that I couldn't cook, but I just never bothered to. Like, I would barely do it. I was like, I'm good. I'll just figure it out.
Send out a dish that gives me full health and 12 gold hearts, and I've like.
So, Mipha's Grace, what it did is that it would because it existed, I could just ignore cooking. Because of Mipha's Grace, and with Revali's Gale, I didn't need to create stamina potions because I could just
honestly wish they leaned harder into the survival aspect. Like, I wish there was like food, there was more ingredients you could put into food, and there were more actual recipes, and then like it was food did less, and you could hold way less food. Like, I want to be able to hold like 5 meals. You know. Maybe 10 if I can upgrade, because I feel like I can hold like a bajillion amount of food that gives me like insane amount of health. I like never, as long as I keep healing, then there's like no chance of me dying.
That's fair. Looking here at the chat, having hope 5. You're hoping you'll be able to repair our weapons. Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have enough evidence for
upgrade, forge.
I feel like
add elementals too.
I mean, if we're able to craft cars and vehicles, but we can't use crafting for weapons, that would be kind of silly. I feel the implication is that crafting overall is in the game, so at least we'll be able to build more weapons, maybe fortify them, maybe.
Let me craft arrows, please.
Maybe, yeah. Well, actually, there's a theory or rumor out there that this comes from Mike Odyssey, that you can get eyeballs from different monsters and use them as different tips for arrows. And the
eyeballs.
So you know the homing arrow you see in the trailer where he takes out the flying creature that I think is a cog rock, but we don't know for sure. If we take another look at that trailer, it might be an
eyeball.
Might be an eyeball. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, just thinking about what I remember it looking like, I can kind of see how it could be an eyeball. But also, what? There's a Nintendo game where I have to go carve out eyeballs? Or I guess I don't have to carve them out, but still, like, I get eyeballs and stab them the end of arrows and shoot them at people. What? Kind of gruesome.
Yeah.
Not against the idea, it just kind of seems strange.
Yeah, it does seem strange. It's a theory. We'll see. But
who knows? Could happen.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to build things out of monster parts makes sense.
Yeah.
So, that's the part that makes sense to me. Sean Castle Singer added me. I wish we couldn't fast travel from shrines. Towers were enough. I did use fast traveling, but I'll also tell you, I kind of enjoy... I'm weird when it comes to games, because... I'm not saying...
fast travel close, and then I walk.
I'm not saying I never fast travel, but oftentimes I'm like, I'd rather just ride there. Like, it's kind of more fun to do that.
Depends on if I actually want to do the thing, or if I want to do the thing eventually after I get distracted 50 times on the way.
Yeah, I kind of just like messing around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I play Breath of the Wild usually, so...
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, I use less fast travel, but there's It's because there's the things in between the objectives are actually fun. Most open world games, especially you, Ubisoft, be making games where there's nothing to do in between areas. So you might as well just fast travel straight to where you need to go, do the thing, and then fast travel straight back.
Yeah. So
Breath of the Wild, just moving through the world in itself is fun because they make it like a puzzle in itself.
I just love moving around in that game.
There's so many things to see and do and get distracted by too.
Yeah, whenever I turn that game, I get distracted. It's just the ultimate, like, I'll just mess around forever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, from what we've seen with Tears of the Kingdom, how there's crafting, there's a lot more exploration.
Like, you're going hard on the sandbox elements as well.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Taker610 with another super chat. Thank you very much, Taker. Taker says, "What's the difference between looking at leaks and watching official trailers? You're getting spoiled either way. Needless to say, there are new NPCs. I mean, there are going to be characters.
It's in the way it's shown.
Yeah, it's about
a trailer shows things in a curated way where Nintendo can either show it in a way where it explains itself, like they have been in the latest trailers, where they show just enough to where things make sense in its own context, or they can explain it to you. Seeing things out of context, I have no idea what you're actually looking at. It's completely different than Nintendo actually curating something to show you and explain, or at least show you enough to be intrigued in a way that makes sense.
Now, I'm not gonna completely outrule that there won't be a spoiler discussion in the future, but it will be clearly marked. And right now, I'm kind of waiting to see how things pan out, because supposedly some people are getting striked about this stuff, and some people don't want to see the spoilers. I do understand. I also think that yes, some people are freaking out because they're worried it tells them about really important parts late into the game. It wouldn't, because it's an art book that comes with the game with a special edition.
Even the Breath of the Wild ones, it's not like huge spoilers in there.
But it's one of those things where I'm intentionally not talking about it for two reasons. One, because we're not sure how the Nintendo Ninjas may deal with this, and two, to respect people who do not want to get spoiled. But once I have a good read on the spoiler, like on the Nintendo Ninja situation, there may be a dedicated discussion to this. We'll see. So we'll have to wait on that. But I mean, to Brandon's point, I agree. It is kind of more about how it's shown, and given that we're entering the final stretch here, right? Like, okay. Listen, so we talk about rumors, we talk about leaks in this channel. We do that. But I guess the weird part is that it kind of depends. So, like, for example, there would have to be... It's tricky. We'll probably talk about it once we kind of know what's gonna happen, and done in a way where people who still want to watch but don't want to get themselves spoiled can avoid it without fear. So like maybe Brandon and I will do like a recorded discussion or something at some point. You know, we'll put that out there. We'll be like, hey, art book spoiler discussion, right? And then we'll or analysis.
I'm not even sure if I want to see the art book or not. I don't know.
Yeah. Cause I guess the thing is that it's details that Nintendo's gonna probably announce before the game comes out, and we may want to enjoy it how they want to present it to us. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to go into the next Zelda Direct and like have stuff I already seen before. Even if it's, because that's the thing. Like, leaks take all, like, at least for a trailer, you have some kind of like hype cycle. Like, they announce a Direct, or they show a trailer, you have that hype where you see a nice curated trailer, you have that reveal. Even if you're not seeing the reveal in game for everything, you're getting a reveal.
People are saying
it is being revealed to you.
Yeah.
Whereas a leak, you're just going in,
people
just
are
seeing.
You're echoing for some reason.
Echoing in what way?
Hold on. I think it's something wrong with the setup. Can you guys hear me? Is he echoing still?
Echo, test. Test 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah, it was something wrong
7,
with
8,
the
9,
audio.
10.
It's fixed now.
11, 12.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I don't know why that happened, but okay. I fixed it now. 3 hours. I don't know. Well, it's fine. Yeah.
Was it echoing the whole time?
I saw people saying it, but then they said it got better, so I didn't even bother.
Oh, well, it's fine.
Taker's saying that it seemed to have fixed itself. So yeah. I'm seeing here I got another super chat from Swacky G. Thank you very much for the super chat. Swacky asks, "Do you like what you've seen from the leaks? Yes or no?" Not gonna say what the content.
I like the cheese.
But
it's good cheese.
But I'll say yeah. Yeah, I do like what I saw. I haven't seen really anything bad about Tears of the Kingdom. Everything's good. It's just, you know, how the information's shared that we need to kind of be careful of, I guess. Yeah. But so, you know, in time we may have a spoiler discussion. But I just kind of have to wait and see how things are going to shake out. So, that's why you got to be careful.
In general, we will never talk about spoilers without saying so. Like, just
there'll be a warning. Right now, it's
doesn't
different.
matter what game.
I mean, if the game has been out for a long time,
yeah, I mean,
that's different.
It's
for a game that hasn't released, we will not just straight up spoil it. Right? If the game has just come out, we won't just straight up spoil it either without.
Yeah, if the game came out this generation, probably not. But, you know, if it's an N64 title, you know, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I have to get up like at 6:30 tomorrow. So I got, at this point, less than 7.5 hours to sleep. And I'm not going to fall asleep immediately. So I will call it a night for now. But guys, please, you went to Zelda Theory, watch my video. Check it out. I just uploaded before the podcast. It's not doing really well, so please check it out. But yeah, we will be having more discussions soon. But thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys.